Chapter 4802. On this day, there was a mountain ridge that rose and fell unsteadily. The mountain rocks of this mountain ridge were all emitting a scarlet red color. Far away under the bright sun, it was like a burning flame. There was even a kind of scorching heat that was born in the air. A clear eagle cry resounded from Xiaohua's right hand. Immediately after, a 300-meter-long eagle flew out from the foot of the mountain. This eagle's entire body was crimson red, especially when it flapped its wings. Strands of crimson flames flowed out from its feathers and landed in the air, emitting sizzling sounds. The eagle cried, and its flashing beak slightly opened. A red pillar of fire shot out from its beak and landed several hundred zhang in front of its head. In front of the eagle's head, there was a several hundred zhang long white python with a demonic cloud under its body. The python opened its mouth and a similar-sized ice pillar shot out from its mouth, blocking the fire pillar. However, this ice pillar was clearly a bit thin. It could only protect the space within a few hundred zhang. Before the fire pillar fell, the ice pillar had already melted a bit. Looking at the white python's body, besides a layer of dark patterns, it was also snow-white like congealed fat. However, at this time, there were many bloody cracks on this snow-white surface. Some of these cracks had already healed, but some were still bleeding. When the blood streaked across the snow-white python's body, it gave birth to a kind of miserable beauty. Hiss! Seeing that the ice pillar was no match for the fire pillar, the white python let out a hissing sound. Then, from the left side of the sky, dozens of moonlight pillars descended. The white python's body suddenly expanded, and its tail turned into a huge ice storm that swept towards the eagle. This ice storm came so suddenly that the eagle was caught off guard. The eagle only had time to flap its wings before it was hit by the ice storm, and like a meteorite, it fell down the mountain. Boom! At the same time, the fire pillar hit the ice pillar. In a huge explosion, the ice pillar broke inch by inch, and the white python also lost its balance in the air. Before the eagle could crash into the mountain, a loud screech was heard, and flames appeared around the eagle's body. A crimson stream of true sun fire fell from the sky and covered the eagle. At the same time, it also burned a deep hole in the rock under the eagle's body. With the help of the true sun flame, the eagle proudly made a turn at the peak of the mountain. Then, it flapped its wings and soared into the sky like an arrow. The sharp beak of the eagle was like the tip of an arrow. In the time it took to breathe, it had already pierced deeply into the white python's neck. Not only that, the eagle's crimson claws, which seemed to be cast from copper and iron, had also deeply grasped the white python's chest and abdomen. As layers of frost cracked, blood gushed out once again. Awa! The white python's huge body twitched violently, and it couldn't help but raise its head and growl. The sound of pain was actually very sharp. The fierce battle between the white python and the eagle was not close to Xiaohua. Moreover, Xiaohua's divine sense had already swept through the area and he had already seen everything. However, along the way, Xiaohua had seen this kind of cruel battle more than once or twice. Xiaohua just glanced at it. Not to mention that this kind of battle was common in the 10,000 demon realm. Compared to what Xiaohua wanted to do, this kind of battle was not in Xiaohua's eyes at all. As usual, Xiaohua did not care at all. Lightning surged around his body and was about to pass by. However, when the screams fell into the little white dragon's ears, it was as if the little white dragon was struck by lightning. The dragon's body suddenly trembled. Then, the little white dragon hysterically shouted, "Big brother, quick! Let go of me!" Xiaohua was stunned. His body that had already turned into a void solidified again. Huang Tong also sensed the little white dragon's abnormality. As her wings loosened, the little white dragon's body fell out of the sky. Roar! The little white dragon's body did not stabilize. Immediately, it roared like crazy. The dragon's body produced a gust of wind and rushed towards the eagle in the distance. Oh! Xiaohua was stunned. He glanced at Feng Wu and Huang Tong. His eyes were full of surprise because Xiaohua had never seen the little white dragon so crazy, nor had he seen him lose his composure like this. When Xiaohua's divine sense swept over the snow-white giant python again, he saw the giant python's slender eyebrows and seemed to understand something. Immediately, Xiaohua, Fengwu, and Huang Tong's figures flashed. They were already above the eagle and the white python fighting. Huang Tong stretched out her claws and was about to attack. Xiaohua hurriedly stopped her in his heart. "Don't worry, let's see how the little white dragon will deal with it." Looking at the giant python, although it was trapped between life and death, now that 3 great saints were in the sky, how could they let the giant python fall? So Huang Tong nodded, withdrew her claws and replied, "Okay. Let's wait and see what kind of story the little white dragon and the white python have." The little white dragon was naturally not as fast as Xiaohua and the others, but at this time, he had already rushed over desperately. He was not much slower than Xiaohua and the others. Moreover, the little white dragon flew over, roaring again and again. The tiger rose from the wind, and the dragon gave birth to clouds. Layers of clouds seemed to be the little white dragon's angry mood, surging over overwhelmingly. Hearing the little white dragon's dragon roar, the eagle and the white python were shocked. Although they did not know the dragon race, the terrifying dragon roar and the huge and mighty dragon body made them tremble with fear. The male eagle had originally used its beak to tear apart the white python's neck, and was about to open its mouth to land on the white python's heart. At this moment, it was stunned on the spot. It did not understand why this inexplicable dragon was so crazy. In the face of the little white dragon's dragon power, the white python was even worse. An instinctive feeling of weakness and numbness arose spontaneously. Although the white python had been keenly aware of the eagle's fear and the stop of its attack, she raised her python head and weakly pounced on the eagle's neck. It seemed that she wanted to, but she was powerless. The white python bit the eagle's neck. Although it was not fatal, the eagle flew into a rage. He screeched, turned his head, and pecked the white python's neck again with his sharp beak. Drops of blood sprinkled all over the white python's body like scarlet flowers. The white python weakly cried, "Ayo." It sounded incomparably desperate. The little white dragon's eyes turned red. He didn't have any intention of asking Xiaohua for help. Instead, he roared angrily, and the dragon patterns on his body surged. The dragon claw that was originally hidden in the clouds suddenly rose up. The dragon claw that was hundreds of feet long was like a huge mountain falling from the sky. That huge force instantly shrouded the space around the eagle and the white python. Seeing the dragon claw so powerful, the eagle's expression changed. He made a prompt decision and swung his sharp claws, giving the white python to the little white dragon. He spread his wings, and countless scarlet flames rushed out, tearing the dragon claw's shackles to shreds. The eagle's body squeezed out of the shackles like a meteor, fleeing into the distant sky. That the eagle's plan was good, but unfortunately, he neglected the little white dragon's desire to kill. Seeing that the white python had escaped danger, it panicked and sat cross-legged in the air. The python's head with its red tongue sticking out tightly under its body. If it saw anything strange with the little white dragon, it would immediately fight to the death with the little white dragon. The little white dragon swept over the white python's head like a gust of wind. That extremely masculine dragon breath almost made the white python faint. And then, the white python was even more shocked. Ayo, ayo, ayo. The little white dragon only swayed its tail a few times, but it had already caught up with the eagle. Without waiting for the eagle to turn its head, the little white dragon had already opened its dragon mouth and landed on the eagle's wings. The eagle also screeched, and spat out a pillar of fire from its mouth. Its sharp claws fiercely clawed at the little white dragon's dragon scales. The little white dragon seemed to have gone crazy. It did not use any heavenly dragon speech technique at all, nor did it use any magical powers. It only used its dragon claws to desperately tear the eagle's wings. The dragon horns on the dragon's head desperately stabbed at the eagle's demon body. Under the eagle's claws, the human's scarlet flames fell like a fountain onto the little white dragon's dragon body. A little white and this white python seems to have a story that must be told? Xiaohua looked at the little white dragon's madness and understood something. He naturally also thought of the little white dragon's excitement when it heard that it could return to the 10,000 demon realm, and some of the things it said at that time. The little white dragon said that it had some grievances in the 10,000 demon realm that it did not understand. Xiaohua did not ask, and now it seems that this grievances should have something to do with this delicate white python. Naturally, the eagle would not sit still and do its best to fight back. Unfortunately, the eagle's strength was not a match for the little white dragon, and the little white dragon's dragon body was incomparably hard. Where the eagle's claws fell, it only caused cracks to appear on the little white dragon's dragon scales, and where the little white dragon's claws fell, the eagle's demon body was torn to pieces. The eagle's fire pillar fell on the little white dragon's dragon body, and could only annihilate some of the dragon patterns. At the corner of the little white dragon's dragon body, the eagle's feathers fell like chicken feathers. In just an instant, the eagle was already at its last breath. The eagle cried out weakly, "Which demon race are you? When did I have a grudge with you? You are a powerhouse of the sea. Why?" What? Unfortunately, before the eagle could finish speaking, its demon body had already fallen onto the mountain peak like a stone. Even so, the little white dragon still could not let the eagle go. It actually pounced on the mountain peak, and the dragon's claws were filled with endless anger. It tore the eagle's demon body into pieces, and blood and flesh fell everywhere. The scene was really bloody to the extreme. The white python was obviously frightened. She looked at the little white dragon very puzzledly, and her whole body was trembling. She knew in her heart that the smartest thing to do now was to take advantage of this opportunity to slip away. However, this thought only briefly crossed her mind before she erased it. Not to mention that the little white dragon's strength was far beyond her, even if she escaped. She could not escape too far. Just the little white dragon's abnormal attack just now gave her an extremely vague impression in her heart, and it gave her an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Chapter 4803. However, when Little White Dragon raised its head from the mountain peak, its ferocious dragon head, its blood-red eyes, and the bloodstains on its claws scared the white python so much that it hurriedly threw away the familiar feeling. It moved its body and respectfully landed on the mountain peak. It raised its voice and said, "Junior greets the powerhouse of the sea." Roar. Little White Dragon ignored the white python. It raised its head and roared crazily at the sky. Wherever the dragon roar passed, the wind and clouds changed, and the sky changed color. "Damn it, damn it, damn it!" Little White Dragon roared angrily. It stretched out its dragon claw and waved it at the blood-stained mountain peak. Boom! Hundreds of feet of gravel were crushed by its claws, and pieces of gravel poured down along the mountain wall that the white python trembled and did not dare to say anything. It only coiled there, as if it was on guard and waiting. After the little white dragon roared angrily, its emotions gradually calmed down. Its dragon body, which had trembled due to its excitement, slowly recovered. When the redness in its eyes disappeared, it looked at the white python again. It opened its mouth, but did not know what to say. Seeing that Little White Dragon had no intention of attacking it, the white python's heart finally relaxed. It said respectfully, "Junior thanks the powerhouse of the sea." "What's your name?" Little White Dragon asked abruptly. "Where's your home?" "Me." The white python was stunned. It hesitated for a moment before answering honestly, "Junior's name is Xingyu." "Junior's home. Senior would not know even if I told you." "Xingyu, Xingyu." Little White Dragon muttered absent-mindedly. Its eyes were a little blurred. It looked at the white python and said, "What an old name. It seems to be in my memory, but I can't remember." The white python did not understand what Little White Dragon meant. It did not dare to say anything and just waited for Little White Dragon to explain. Xiao Hua, Feng Wu, and Huang Tong were also hiding in the sky. They quietly watched, waiting for Little White Dragon to tell the story from long ago. "Xingyu," Little White Dragon suddenly asked, "do you still remember a little white snake called Xinghan?" "Xinghan?" Xingyu was stunned, but it nodded after a moment. I remember. But Senior knows Xinghan? This junior hasn't seen him for a long time." In your memory, what is Lin Han like? The little white dragon asked hesitantly. His eyes flashed with apprehension. Huan Yu was even more confused. She looked at the little white dragon and thought for a moment. Then, she said apologetically, I'm sorry, Senior. Huan Han has been missing for too long. Junior only remembers what he looked like when he was young, but now. Hee, don't be afraid. The little white dragon laughed. I'm just asking you, what was Zhou Han like when he was young? Well, Huan Yu smiled apologetically. Senior, in my memory Huan Han is an ambitious little white snake. He often clamored to become a demon-grade expert, but in reality he didn't even know what the title of a demon-grade expert was. Oh, that's right, Lin Han's talent is not good. He doesn't know how to cultivate, but he has an unyielding fighting spirit. I remember very clearly that one time, I went to Mount Yuluo with him to look for a demonic fruit. We were stopped by a big spirit of the nearby dog clan. After that big spirit stole our demonic fruit, it wanted to eat us. Lin Han and I couldn't beat that big spirit, so in order to hold that big spirit back, Lin Han bit the big spirit's neck. No matter how many times the big spirit threw him down and used its claws to tear his snake body into a bloody mess, he didn't give up. However, that big spirit was too powerful. Even though it was frightened by Lin Han, it still threw Lin Han aside and wanted to eat me. Thankfully, a big spirit of the clan arrived in time and saved me. But because the big spirit of the clan couldn't carry 2 pythons, it could only leave Lin Han behind. It would bring me to a safe place before looking for Lin Han. But when the big spirit returned, Lin Han was already gone. I thought Lin Han was eaten by the dog spirit and was sad for a long time. But who knew that 3 months later, Lin Han would come back alive? I was so surprised. I even kissed him. At this point, Shuiyu looked up and looked in a direction, as if there was a distant memory there. And then? Little White Dragon asked with interest. After that, Lin Han seemed to have changed. Sometimes, he would secretly tell me that he wanted to cultivate to become a heaven-rank expert in the demon realm. Sometimes, he would say that he wanted to become a demon called a dragon. He also said that he would protect me in Gale Abyss in the future. I thought that he must have encountered some kind of opportunity, so I was happy for him and even urged him to cultivate. Ma Yu had been holding back her words for many years, but she was becoming more and more fluent now. Unfortunately, before he could cultivate, there was a spirit-gathering battle where one could fight for the title of low-level lesser demon. I accompanied the great spirit who had saved me to the spirit-gathering battle, and when I returned, I never saw Ma Yinghan again. I heard from the clan that he also went to gather spirit, but I never saw him. Later, I inquired for a long time, but there was no news of Lin Han. At this point, Shuiyu looked at Little White Dragon. The pair of python eyes were crystal clear and asked tentatively, Senior, did you meet Lin Han? Is he still alive? Yes, it's been tens of thousands of years. It's rare that you still remember Lin Han. Little White Dragon sighed. Time passed by quickly and we have all become duckweeds. If I didn't meet you today, I would have almost forgotten that I have a name called Lin Han. Senior is right. Now that I think about it, I am Lin Han. Ah? Shuiyu answered casually, but halfway through, she suddenly screamed and looked at Little White Dragon in disbelief. Senior. You are Lin Han? Yes, I still remember that year at Rainfall Mountain. Just like now, I desperately wanted to block the big spirit of the dog clan, but I was so powerless. I really hated myself at that time. Why couldn't I be strong? I was really willing to die for you. But I still couldn't stop the dog spirit from pouncing on your body. Little White Dragon looked at Shuiyu and said with some affection, When Lin Hong appeared, my heart became even more gloomy. He took you away and didn't even look at me. Although you shouted loudly, he didn't care about me at all. It was as if I was a pile of mud. So rotten that even the dog spirit wasn't willing to eat me. Oh no. Shuiyu hurriedly cried out, Lin Hong really did go looking for you after that. By the time he found me, it was already too late. I dragged my injured body and left with a broken heart. Little White Dragon calmly replied, Fortunately, I was originally an ordinary little white snake. Heaven really did give me a chance to become a dragon. However, the Python clan and Snake clan of Gale Abyss didn't believe me. Lin Hong snorted at me. Even you, I feel that if you weren't afraid of hurting my heart, you wouldn't have said those words to deceive me. Lin Hai, is this the dragon clan you spoke of back then? Shui Yu hesitated and asked softly, what you said back then. Was it all true? Shui Yu, I can lie to anyone, but do you think I would lie to you? Little White Dragon skillfully replied. Then you are now definitely a powerful warrior of the sea? Shui Yu asked, her breathing a little hurried. Although Little White Dragon didn't understand how powerful a powerful warrior of the sea was, how could he say no to Shui Yu? He raised his head and proudly said, of course. I've already reached the peak of Earth rank. One more step and I'll become a star rank warrior. That's great, that's great. Shui Yu cried out happily. Our Gale Abyss is finally saved. Lin Han, quick, come back with me to save our clansmen. But then, Shui Yu became dejected again and said softly, forget it, Gale Abyss is too far from here. By the time we get back, our clansmen will probably have been slaughtered by the Ape and Lion clansmen. And I heard that the Ape and Lion clansmen have sent many powerful warriors. You alone. I'm afraid you won't be their match. Damn it. Little White Dragon yelled when he heard that Gale Abyss was in trouble. Shui Yu, what's going on? Tell me, no need to say anything, I'll tell you as we go. Little White Dragon shouted into the sky, Big brother? Big brother? Shui Yu was even more puzzled. When Little White Dragon appeared earlier, she had already scanned the surroundings. There were no traces of the spirit tribe. However, when Xiao Hua, Feng Wu and Huang Tong appeared, the demon race's great saint aura was slightly released. Shui Yu was stunned. In an instant, sparkling tears flowed out of her black jade-like eyes. Her huge python body crawled in the air as she cried out, this junior greets the 3 sun rank warriors. Please, for Lin Han's sake, save our Gale Abyss. If Shui Yu was in the human race, she would definitely be a pretty girl from a small town. How could she have met a demon race great saint? She must have used her imagination to call herself a sun rank warrior, right? Just as Little White Dragon was about to correct him, Feng Wu interjected, Xiao Bai is my brother. His matters are our matters. Gale Abyss is his home, and it is also our home. Time is of the essence now, so there's no need to say more. Just point us in the direction and we'll go there right away. Feng Wu waved his sharp claws, which transformed into a large hand that grabbed Shui Yu. He flapped his wings and was about to fly into the sky. Holy Phoenix! Little White Dragon said anxiously, Shui Yu is still injured. How can she be healed without taking pills? Holy Phoenix? Shui Yu was shocked when she heard this. She stammered, This junior greets the great saint. There's no need for any pills. Feng Wu smiled. With a flap of her wings, several vast pillars of starlight and moonlight descended from the sky. These pillars of light were different from ordinary pillars of starlight and moonlight. They were snow-white like milk, and when they landed on Ho Yu's body, it felt so comfortable that it almost made the white python groan. Then, the cracks and ghastly wounds on her body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 4804. Good. Little White Dragon's heart was immediately put at ease. He turned to Huang Tong and said, Huang Sheng, please take me to Gale Abyss. Huang Sheng? Shui Yu heard and could not help but feel dizzy. How many great sages were there in the 10,000 demon realm? She had never seen a single Sun Realm elite in her life, but today she saw 2 great sages of the upper race. However, Huang Tong did not look like a phoenix at all. She opened her mouth but did not dare to ask. Where is Gale Abyss? Xiaohua looked at the sky and urged, We don't have much time left, let's deal with this quickly. Over there. Shui Yu heard Xiaohua's words. Although she could not see Xiaohua's cultivation, she knew that he had an extraordinary background when she saw him traveling with 2 great sages. She hurriedly pointed in a direction. Xiaohua frowned because the direction Shui Yu pointed in was not the same as the Hua Tian realm. Let's go. Xiaohua waved his hand and lightning surged around him. He turned into lightning and flew in the direction Shuiyu pointed. Along the way, Huyu told Little White Dragon about what had happened in the Gale Abyss. Gale Abyss was originally a corner of the lower races in the 10,000 Demon Realm. It was also the border between the Python Realm and the Snake Realm. It had always been a place that was not recorded in the realm consciousness. Of course, no expert had ever appeared in such an unknown place, nor had any experts paid attention to it. However, 100 years ago, experts from the Ape Clan began to arrive, followed by experts from the Lion Clan. When the experts of the Ape tribe first arrived, it seemed unintentional. Then they stayed in the Gale Abyss for several months. When they came again, they brought even more experts with them. The arrival of these experts began to change the lives of the Python tribe and Snake tribe in the vicinity of the Gale Abyss. Many Python tribe and Snake tribe became the disciples of these experts. Soon, the entire Gale Abyss was controlled by the Ape tribe. Then, the Lion race elites appeared. The Lion race elites were more powerful than the Ape race elites. After a few conflicts with the Ape race elites, some of the Python realm and Snake realm began to side with the Lion race. Thus, the Python realm and Snake realm in Gale Abyss were divided into two opposing factions. In the following decades, the Gale Abyss began to experience an unprecedented upheaval. Fights seemed to occur every day, and from time to time, pythons would die in these fights. Moreover, this kind of fighting atmosphere was spreading, and even the nearby Hound Clan, Wolf Clan, and Rat Clan were involved. Shuiyu was naturally no exception. In the beginning, she was also excitedly cultivating with a powerhouse of the Ape Clan. However, when she saw the bloody scene in the Gale Abyss, she felt that something was wrong. She hurriedly contacted the elders of the clan. However, at this moment, she discovered that the elder who usually presided over the affairs of the Gale Abyss was not in the Gale Abyss. After asking around, he found out that the elder had not shown himself for several years. Huyu was shocked. She knew that there must be something fishy going on. At the same time, another piece of news came. An Earth rank of the Ape tribe knew that the Ape tribe had been humiliated in the Gale Abyss and was preparing to come to the Gale Abyss. At the same time, the Lion tribe also issued a challenge to the Gale Abyss. If it was a normal day, Huyu would naturally be excited to watch the show from the sidelines. However, she found many things fishy and saw through the conspiracy behind the challenge. She knew that the Lion tribe and the Ape tribe were definitely not seeking victory, but to erase the Gale Abyss from the 10,000 Demon Realm. However, what puzzled Huyu was that the Gale Abyss was not a famous place, and there were no special powerhouses. The Lion tribe or the Ape tribe could just come and kill them. Why would there be a conspiracy? Huyu thought about it and did not know what to do. At this time, there were several other Python tribe members who also saw that something was wrong. After some discussion, they felt that there were several ways to get out of the Gale Abyss. One was to ask the Python King of the Yiming Boundary for help. The other was to ask the Snake King of the Huihong Boundary for help. However, these Python tribe members had never been to the Yiming Boundary and the Huihong Boundary, so they did not know how to ask for help. The other way was to ask for help from the powerhouses who came out of the Gale Abyss. Naturally, the Gale Abyss did not have any powerful powerhouses. However, they hoped that these powerhouses could ask for help from other powerhouses to save the lives of the Python tribe and the Snake tribe. Therefore, after some discussion, the Pythons contacted some other Python tribe and the Snake tribe and divided them into several places. Some went to look for the Python King, some went to look for the Snake King, and some went to look for powerhouses. Huyu and two other Python tribe members went to the Lizard tribe to look for Yuan Shihong, who was already a rock cliff powerhouse. However, when Huyu and the two Python tribe members arrived at the Lizard tribe, they found out that Yuan Shihong had gone out with the powerhouses of the Lizard tribe to gain experience. The range of the experience might be near the Jade Sea. For Huyu, the Jade Sea was just a name she had heard of. With her ability, it was absolutely impossible for her to go there. After some disappointment, they were about to return. At this time, another news came that Yuan Shihong did not go to the Jade Sea, but was near the Red Stone Mountain. However, even though the Red Stone Mountain was a place for rock cliff powerhouses to gain experience, Hu Yu and the others could not possibly go there. Therefore, the other two Python tribe members suggested that they return to the Gale Abyss. After all, they were only one of the groups. Perhaps the other Python tribe members had already successfully invited the Python King or the Snake King. Hu Yu followed them back to the Gale Abyss. 2 days later, she happened to encounter a lizard tribe powerhouse returning from the Red Stone Mountain. After asking around, Hu Yu learned of the location of the Red Stone Mountain and the news that Yuan Shihong had successfully become a peak powerhouse. Hu Yu saw hope in the Gale Abyss again and hurriedly wanted to return to the Red Stone Mountain. However, the other two Python tribe members did not agree. They were not willing to risk going to the Red Stone Mountain. Helpless, Hu Yu could only go to the Red Stone Mountain alone. Naturally, Hu Yu did not meet Yuan Shihong. Instead, she met Yuan Shihong. Xiao Bai, who had disappeared for tens of thousands of years and had been reborn. What? Yuan Shihong is already a peak powerhouse? Hearing that Hu Yu was looking for Yuan Shihong, Little White Dragon could not help but feel jealous and asked in surprise. Yes. Hu Yu smiled and said, Yuan Shihong is considered one of the most powerful powerhouses to come out of the Gale Abyss. Back then, after he obtained the title of Dust Realm Powerhouse in the Spirit Gathering Realm, he met a Lizard Tribe powerhouse. That powerhouse felt that he was a promising talent and brought him along to cultivate. This guy is really fucking lucky. Little White Dragon did not forget to say with jealousy, completely ignoring the fact that he was already a powerhouse of the 6th level of origin energy. Hu Yu was in a great mood. She pursed her lips and said with a smile, Yuan Shihong, before you appeared, Yuan Shihong and the others were naturally the most powerful powerhouses. But after you came back, aren't you the most powerful powerhouse in the Gale Abyss? I remember when you were young, you always told me that you wanted to become a powerhouse. Now your wish has come true. When you save all the clan spirits in the Gale Abyss, you will become a great hero of the Gale Abyss. Your childhood dream has come true. I also want to beat up that dog spirit until he kneels at my feet and licks my feet. Little White Dragon said proudly. Unfortunately, before he could finish, Huang Tong said coldly, look at how useless you are. He's just a dog and you still want to lower yourself to his level? If Spiritual Master Yu knew about this, wouldn't he skin you alive? Sage Huang, you don't know how much damage that dog spirit had done to me. Little White Dragon said shamelessly, back then, I was beaten into a pile of shit by that dog spirit in front of the beautiful Hu Yu. My heart was also shattered. Hu Yu was stunned. But then her jade-like face turned red and she did not say anything. If it weren't for that dog spirit, I'm afraid you wouldn't have today's opportunity. You should thank that dog spirit. Feng Wu teased. That's what Mithria Buddha thinks. Little White Dragon said bitterly, I just want to beat that guy up, I don't want to thank him. Also, I want to ask Hu Hong in person why he looked at me with such disdain when he left with Hu Yu back then. Similarly, Hu Yu wanted to open her mouth, but she thought of something and closed it again. However, Little White Dragon did not let go of the opportunity to talk to Hu Yu. Taking advantage of the fact that he was not using his divine power, he asked her a lot of questions about the Gale Abyss. Of course, many of these questions were related to Hu Yu. After another month, Xiaohua felt that the space was a little loose. His heart skipped a beat and he asked in his heart, Huang Tong, have the laws of heaven and earth in our bodies changed? That's right. Huang Tong replied with a smile. After staying in the 10,000 demon realm for so long, we have some understanding of the laws of heaven and earth. However, at this time, we still can't use the space escape technique. Fellow Daoist Wu, Xiaohua asked worriedly, I can no longer feel the divine sense mark that we set up in the capital star formation. Can you still feel the soul consciousness mark? I'll let fellow Daoist Xiao know. Daoist Wu laughed. The laws of heaven and earth in the 10,000 demon realm are very strange. Although I can't feel the soul consciousness mark, I can know that the soul consciousness mark is intact. This is probably one of the reasons why soul cultivators are not allowed to exist in the 10,000 demon realm? That's good. That's good. Xiao Hua was finally relieved. At this time, Huang Tong said, Xiaohua, although our bodies have begun to integrate with the laws of heaven and earth of the 10,000 demon realm, there is still a long way to go before we can use the space escape technique. This gap could be 10 years or 100 years. Don't think too much. It's okay. Xiaohua waved his hand and smiled. Just in case, I have set up a lot of divine sense marks along the way. If there are any changes, we can use the North Way technique to teleport to the top of the spiritual realm many times. A few days later, Xiaohua saw that the terrain of the 10,000 demon realm had changed greatly. There were more lakes and swamps, and there were more trees on the hills between the lakes. Whether it was the lakes or the hills, there were more pythons. Xiaohua knew that Little White Dragon's hometown, Gale Abyss, was right in front of him. Chapter 4805. Sure enough, after flying for a while, a huge lake appeared in his divine sense. Before Huang Tong could ask Little White Dragon anything, Xiaohua suddenly frowned. Huang Tong and Feng Wu also had strange looks on their faces. The three of them looked at each other, and a thoughtful look appeared in their eyes. Ha! Little White Dragon laughed when he saw the muddy swamp increasing. I didn't expect that I would return to the Gale Abyss one day. Huyu looked at Little White Dragon's expression and smiled. With Little White Dragon and the two great saints beside him, the difficulties in the Gale Abyss were nothing. Big brother. Little White Dragon stopped smiling and asked, "How's the situation in the Gale Abyss?" "It's not good." Xiaohua knew what Little White Dragon meant and replied, "Many pythons died in the lake, and many snakes died on the hills. Of course, the apes and lions also died." Without waiting for Xiaohua to finish, Little White Dragon said angrily, "Big brother, go faster." "No problem." Xiaohua nodded and asked, "Do you need me to do it?" "There's no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken." Little White Dragon gritted his teeth and said, "Leave it to me to deal with these little bastards." But Xiaohua agreed and looked at Huyu. "Don't tell anyone that we're coming back with Little White Dragon." "Yes, senior." Huyu was anxious when she heard that many pythons had died in the Gale Abyss. She didn't think too much about it. In the next second, Xiaohua's figure flickered as he teleported away, disappearing from sight. Feng Wu and Huang Tong also spread their wings, and a string of phantoms appeared. In a moment, they also escaped into the void, looking at the Gale Abyss again. On the side of the seemingly endless lake, between the hills, rows of trees had fallen to the ground. On the ground, there were many crisscrossing gullies with broken green vines hanging at the edge of the gullies. On the already messy ground, there were even more pythons and snakes lying crookedly on the ground. These pythons were covered with bloody wounds, and many of them had deep bloody holes in their chests and abdomens. Streams of blood, either crimson or dark green, flowed out from these bloody holes. Not only did it dye the vines red, but it also dyed the ground red. When it flowed into the lake, it also dyed the lake water red. However, in the blood-red lake, there were many python corpses floating with the waves. They were densely packed. At a glance, there were many snow-white corpses floating in the blood-red lake. It was a ghastly sight. On the other side of the lake, between the mountain ridge and the forest, thousands of apes and lions were roaring, divided into two groups. They were either commanding groups of pythons to kill each other, or slaughtering some pythons with their own hands. In front of these raging apes and lions, the pythons and snakes were like earthworms. Further away, in the forest, there were even more pythons and snakes trembling. They were either coiling on ancient trees or hiding between the mountain rocks. Every python's head poked out, and a pair of frightened eyes were particularly striking. Roar. A lion's roar was heard, and a lion with an earthy yellow mane that was over 1,000 feet long appeared in the sky. Between his sharp claws was a red-colored python. The scales on the python's body were flashing with a crimson light, and wisps of fire were seeping out from the scales. Unfortunately, the python's body was firmly held by the lion, and a rain of blood poured down from the sky. "Go to hell!" The lion roared, and suddenly swung his front leg forward. The red python turned into a flash of light and streaked across the sky. With a boom, it smashed into the hill. As the python's body was embedded in the rocks, Large chunks of the hill fell down and smashed into the python's body. Even if this daddy dies, I will never let you destroy the Gale Abyss. The python's body cracked, and blood flowed out again. However, the python roared and struggled, rushing out of the hill, trying its best to fly into the sky. Roar. Before the python's tail could be pulled out of the hill, a deafening roar sounded again. A giant ape that was also 1,000 feet in size jumped down from the sky and landed on the ground with a boom. The giant ape's foot really stepped on the corpse of a python. The ground shook, and the python's corpse was also trampled into a pile of mud. Not good. The giant python let out a low cry and hurriedly tried to fly away. However, the giant ape reached out with its hand and grabbed the giant python's tail through the thick mountain rocks. The giant ape's sharp claws pierced deeply into the red python's scales. The red flames on the scales flickered a few times, but it was actually unable to resist the silver-white brilliance of the giant ape's claws. Roar! The red python roared in pain. Ha! The giant ape laughed, and its other claw pierced deeply into the python's scales. In an instant, the ape's claws turned blood red. The giant ape cursed, "Damn it! This daddy was just having a good time killing. Why did a thing like you appear? If you're not courting death, then who is? Wait until this daddy kills you, then I'll take care of the little lion." As it spoke, the great ape swung its arms and lifted the great red python up. With a whoosh, it smashed the great red python to the ground. With a loud bang, the great red python's skin split open and its scales flew everywhere. The rocks and trees on the ground were also sent flying. After a few more hits, the python was already covered in blood, and it was no longer as powerful as before. Roar! Seeing the giant ape lift the python up again, the python roared angrily, twisted its body, and turned its head. It spat out flames from its mouth and pounced at the giant ape. Child's play. Seeing the flames coming at him, the giant ape sneered and opened its bloody mouth. A silver-white brilliance shot out, enveloping the flames, and the flames were instantly extinguished. At the same time, the giant ape loosened its grip, and its left leg kicked forward, right on top of the red python's head. The giant ape's strength was so great that it actually kicked the red python's body out of the air. The red python flew through the air, and with a plop, it landed on the surface of the lake. Roar! Seeing the giant ape let go, the lion tribe member roared, "Ape Will, your strength is only SOSO, watch this daddy's." With that, the lion tribe member stepped on the demon cloud, and was about to pounce on the surface of the lake. Roar! At this moment, the red python flew out from the lake, and hundreds of water pillars tens of feet thick shot up into the sky. The python's body was covered in black and red flames, and a strange demon aura seeped out from its scales. The red python's body seemed to have expanded by 30%, and an arrogant voice came from its mouth, "Damn it! You forced me to do this. Since that's the case, I'll show you my true strength." Seeing the change in the giant python, the giant ape and lion tribe members were shocked, and the two demon tribes' bodies trembled at the same time. Unfortunately, before the red python could finish speaking, roar, roar, roar. In the sky, angry dragon roars were heard, and the entire sky of the Gale Abyss was filled with violent winds, lightning, and thunder. Layers of dark clouds came from all directions, and in an instant, the sky was covered. A furious and burning yuan will descended from the sky like a tsunami, and instantly enveloped the entire lake, along with the thousands of ape and lion tribe members. This is... The giant ape and the khaki-colored lion tribe members were shocked again, and they turned to look in panic. Swoosh! At this moment, a dragon's aura that could make 10,000 beasts crawl was even more shocking than the yuan will just now. While the giant ape and the khaki-colored lion tribe members were trembling, the red python that was already covered in flames could not suppress the fear in its heart. The python's body trembled, and all the flames were retracted. It was in disbelief and confusion as it looked at the sky filled with black clouds. Roar! In the midst of the lightning and thunder, the little white dragon's huge body was revealed, and the aura of a king's return spread out from the clouds that covered the sky. Before the little white dragon could fly close, the entire sky was filled with obscure dragon language. This dragon language carried an ancient curse and the little white dragon's anger. It fell in the air and turned into tens of thousands of fire pillars. Boom, boom, boom. In the midst of the violent winds, the world's Yuan Qi madly fell into the fire pillars, and in the blink of an eye, the entire sky was condensed into a huge red fire array. Those who invade the Gale Abyss. The little white dragon flew over, and Shuiyu, who was not far behind him, was incomparably shocked. She could not imagine that the little white snake that was often bullied as a child would now have such a great ability. Moreover, she did not dare to believe that the little white dragon that had previously fought so desperately with the eagle only relied on its body and did not use today's ability. Following the word die, the light pillars that filled the sky fell like swords of punishment, accurately landing on the heads of every ape and lion tribe member. Compared to, it can't be. The giant ape and lion tribe members were really dumbfounded. The two demon tribe experts looked at each other, and a kind of absurd feeling arose in their hearts. Star expert? How is this possible? When did the Gale Abyss produce a star expert? Unfortunately, the little white dragon did not give them any time to think. Its dragon body swam in the air, and its two dragon claws turned into fiery red phantoms that were several mu in size. They fell from the sky, and its mouth shouted, "It's your turn now." Roar, roar. The giant ape and the earthen yellow lion tribe saw that the dragon claw mountain was about to fall, and they both became unruly. As they roared, one of them waved its giant arm and rushed into the air, and a silver-white light pillar shot out of its mouth. The other one even rushed out of its mouth, and an earthen yellow demon cloud rushed out. Its lion claws gave off a sharp light, and it also met the attack. The little white dragon's dragon claws fell, and instantly scattered the giant ape's silver light pillar. Moreover, the dragon claws did not stop there, and hit the giant ape's arms, directly smashing those arms that seemed to be cast from copper and iron. The little white dragon's dragon claws even cleverly pierced the top of the giant ape's head. The giant ape screamed, and it looked like it was about to die. Chapter 4806. With the fall of the giant ape, how could the lion clan escape death? Little white dragon's other claw easily grabbed the lion clan member and the demonic cloud he spat out. Amidst the roar and the flickering flames, the lion clan member's demonic body had long been turned into meat paste. The red python suppressed the dragon's aura emitting from little white dragon's body. He was both fearful and jealous as he asked, "What demonic clan are you?" "My Gale Abyss. Since when did we have a clan spirit like you?" It was no wonder that the red python was jealous. He was forced to use his ultimate technique by the giant ape and the lion clan. The glory of killing the giant ape and the lion clan should have belonged to him, but before he could do anything, Little White Dragon had interrupted him. Little White Dragon's heavenly dragon speech technique was so powerful that the sky and earth changed color and the wind howled. Even if he used his ultimate technique again, he would not have been prepared for it. Ujinhong. Little White Dragon's eyes flashed as he looked at the red python in front of him. He said word by word, "Let me ask you, why did you leave me at the Rainfall Mountain that day? I didn't know at first and thought you didn't have the ability to take me away. But later, I realized that you did it on purpose." Rainfall Mountain? What do you mean? Yuan Shihong had clearly forgotten about the little white dragon long ago. He looked at the little white dragon with a puzzled expression. Hujinhong. Hu Yu, who had regained her senses, flew down from the sky and shouted in surprise, "Why are you back so soon?" "He is Lin Han. The year. That little white snake who wanted to save Gale Abyss and said he wanted to become a dragon." Lin Han? Dragon? Hu Jinhong suddenly realized and looked at Little White Dragon. "You really became a dragon? This is a dragon?" "That's right." Little White Dragon looked at Hu Jinhong proudly and said, "I am a dragon now and my name is Xiaobai. Ever since you left me at the Rainfall Mountain, I abandoned the name Lin Han. I just want to ask you, why didn't you save me back then?" "Lin Han, no, Xiaobai." Hu Yu hurriedly explained, "Didn't I tell you earlier? Hu Jinhong didn't have the ability to save you back then. Didn't he go find you later?" Xianxia. Little White Dragon looked at Hu Yu and said with a smile, "When you said that, I didn't refute you because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I also know that you have Hu Jinhong in your heart. You can't bear to destroy his image in your heart. You also don't want to think in that direction. If he wasn't in the Gale Abyss, perhaps I wouldn't have asked him again. But just when you went to look for him, he actually returned to the Gale Abyss. Of course, I can't deny that he still has the Gale Abyss in his heart. However, I am very suspicious. Back then, in order to eliminate me, a tiny little white snake, he was already so scheming. Today, in this Gale Abyss that is being besieged and slaughtered by the Ape Clan and the Lion Clan, how could he disregard his own safety and appear in such a righteous manner? I am very doubtful. Lin Han. Hu Yu immediately stood in front of Hu Jinhong and said coldly, "I know that you now have the ability to sweep through the Gale Abyss. I also understand that you have a backer that other demon spirits can't compare to. However, you can't casually slander Hu Jinhong just because of a little unpleasant memory from your childhood. You killed the Ape Clan and the Lion Clan, saved the Gale Abyss, and avenged the Python Clan. You are the hero of the Gale Abyss. Although Hu Jinhong didn't kill the Ape Clan and the Lion Clan, he came all the way back to fight the Ape Clan and the Lion Clan. He is also a hero." "Really?" Little White Dragon was furious. He spat out a dragon's breath like a hurricane and landed on Hu Yu and Hu Jinhong. The two giant pythons couldn't help but tremble. Even so, Hu Yu still raised her python head and said coldly to Little White Dragon, "That's right, that's right. You are a hero and so is he." Alright. Suddenly, a smile appeared on Little White Dragon's cold face and he shrugged his shoulders like a human. His dragon body trembled slightly as if he was laughing so hard that his stomach hurt. He said, "If you say so, then so be it. I just want to ask him what he was thinking back then." Hu Yu saw the sudden change in Little White Dragon's expression and immediately realized that Little White Dragon was toying with Hu Jinhong. She was so angry and anxious that she almost wanted to use her python tail to slap Little White Dragon's face. Unfortunately, just as the Little White Dragon's body shrank back and looked at the Python tribe members who had looks of reverence and envy on their faces but did not dare to approach them, Hu Yu felt her python body being pushed away by a powerful force. Then, another wave of scorching heat flipped her over. Roar. Behind Hu Yu, Little White Dragon's angry roar sounded. "What's going on?" Ma Yingyu was stunned. When she turned her head around, she saw that the Little White Dragon's body was deeply embedded in a nearby hill. In front of the Little White Dragon, Ma Yinghong's body was burning with black and red flames. His eyes were flashing with blood-red light as he stared fixedly at the Little White Dragon. The black and white flames dripped onto the ground, corroding a deep hole in the ground. Not only was Hu Yu shocked, but Little White Dragon also looked at Hu Jinhong in confusion. He didn't know why he suddenly attacked. "That's right." Hu Jinhong looked at Little White Dragon and said with a cold arrogance, "Hu Han, you're absolutely right. I could have taken you and Hu Yu with me that day. But why didn't I take you with me?" "That's because you're too close to Hu Yu. I won't allow any of the Python clan in Gale Abyss to have too much to do with Hu Yu. Unfortunately, you're so lucky that the dog spirit didn't dare to eat you. Remember Dark Wind." "See." Little White Dragon sucked in a breath of cold air. "Could it be that Dark Wind?" "That's right. I let Dark Wind get close to you." Hu Jinhong said coldly. "I didn't expect you to come back alive. And you even wanted to transform into a dragon as if you were possessed. Of course, I was wrong. I thought you'd lost your mind and wanted Dark Wind to kill you. But you're really lucky." Hu Jinhong. Without waiting for Little White Dragon to speak, Hu Yu had already flown over and shouted, "Why are you like this? Why can't I be like this?" Hu Jinhong looked at Hu Yu up and down and said, "I've always been like this. And I'll still be like this in the future. Of course, don't worry. In the future, I'll be the king of Gale Abyss. No, I'll be the king of this area, and you'll be the queen of this area." Could it be? Hu Yu looked at the corpses of the Python clan in disbelief and exclaimed, "The deaths of these Gale Abyss spirits were all because of you." No. Hu Jinhong shook his head and said, "Of course it wasn't my idea. I only found out about it later. and for the existence of Gale Abyss, I had to make a deal with them. And who you, more than that, I did it for you. I want you to be the queen of the 10,000 demon realm. Your deal was to kill the Python clan and Snake clan of Gale Abyss. You can be the king yourself. Little White Dragon's face was full of disdain. He struggled out of the hill and looked coldly at Hu Jinhong. And those who made the deal with you should be the king of the Ape clan and the king of the Lion clan, right? Are the reason why you dare to fall out with me now? That's right. I should have been the one to end all of this, but now it's all because of you. What else can I do? I can only fall out with you. Yuan Shihong raised his eyes to look at the horizon. The dark clouds that filled the sky still had not dispersed. He said, "Moreover, although you are of the dragon race or something, although you already have the strength close to that of a star expert, but you will never know what this means behind the scenes. Not to mention that you are not a star expert. Even if you really were a star expert, you would still not be a match for 2 star experts." Boom boom. As he spoke, 2 loud roars sounded from the void not far away from the swift Gale Abyss. A giant silver ape that was several hundred feet long and a golden lion that was even larger than the giant ape stepped out of the void proudly. 2 types of demon clan auras that were half as strong as the little white dragons surged out like a tidal wave and covered the swift Gale Abyss once again. To his surprise, the little white dragon was not as terrified as Yuan Shihong had imagined. Instead, it swept its gaze across the 2 giant apes, and its gaze landed on Yuan Shihong. After which, it asked indifferently, "Where are these Python clan members who have listened to your sincere wishes? How do you plan to deal with them?" "Haha, I know what you want me to say." Hu Jinhong did not hesitate in the face of little white dragon's questioning. He smiled and said, "You want to destroy my image in Hu Jinyu's heart, but why should I answer? Maybe we can talk after you survive the attack of 2 star masters." 2 star masters? Little White Dragon raised his head and looked at the Ape King and Lion King who were stepping on the demon cloud. He said calmly, "In my eyes, they are 2 piles of shit." "Ha!" Hu Jinhong laughed and said loudly, "If the 2 demon kings are 2 piles of shit, what about you?" Roar. Little White Dragon roared angrily. His dragon body flashed with golden light. His dragon claws pounced at the golden Lion King as he shouted, "Hu Jinhong, do you think you are the only one with a backup plan? Do you know? My backup plan is 100 times more powerful than yours." "Is that so?" A mocking smile appeared on Hu Jinhong's face. He glanced at Hu Jinyu and said, "Then I would like to see who your helper is." At this time, Hu Jinyu's face was pale, even more so than the jade color on her python body. Sensing Hu Jinhong's gaze, Hu Jinyu's eyes showed a kind of disdain, a kind of disgust, and even a kind of mockery as if she was looking at a corpse. Hu Jinhong's heart thumped. Sure enough, roar roar. High up in the sky, there was a furious roar. A black bear several hundred feet in size pounced out. It was saying some unknown language. That huge bear paw raised rows of black shadows in midair, pouncing towards the silver giant ape. Chapter 4807. The giant bear paw covered half of the sky, tearing the void apart as it struck towards the giant ape. The giant ape was not simple as well. It opened its mouth and a silver beam of light shot out. At the same time, a few beams of light from the stars and moon fell from the sky, crashing into the giant ape's body. The giant ape's body was surrounded by shadows as it waved its arms like a ghost towards the bear paw. Boom! With a loud bang, the fierce black film of the bear's paw shattered. The silver light beam in the giant ape's mouth and the phantoms around its body also shattered. Moreover, the bear's paw's power was not exhausted. It hit the giant ape's arms and suddenly knocked it down from the sky. Roar! The black bear's spirit roared towards the sky as it pounded its chest with its mountain-like arms. Hong hong hong. The giant beams of light from the stars and moon fell crazily. Instantly, the shadow of the black bear spirit, which was 100 feet taller than the giant ape's shadow, appeared. An indescribable deterrence was emitted from this shadow. Moon. Moon Elite? Hu Jinhong never thought that Little White Dragon would not only have a helper, but this helper was also a Moon Elite. Hu Jinhong was dumbfounded, looking at little white dragon again. Although his strength was not as strong as the Golden Lion King, his heavenly dragon speech technique was like a fish in water in the demon realm. Every time he chanted the dragon speech technique, a strong heaven-earth yuan qi would appear. The heavenly technique's power was twice as strong as the 3 continents. Not only could it block the Lion King's attack, it could even take the opportunity to counterattack many times. What was special was that although the Lion King could sometimes use his divine powers to attack Little White Dragon when he got close, the Lion King's claws would hit Little White Dragon's body without warning. However, the Dragon Clan's strong dragon body and the dragon horns on its head that could suppress hundreds of beasts helped Little White Dragon escape from the Lion King's attacks. After holding on for half a cup of tea's time, the black bear spirit who had the absolute advantage opened its mouth. Ooh! A thick demon cloud was spat out from its stomach. The demonic clouds were like ink as they dyed the area within a few miles. The giant silver ape was greatly alarmed. Silver light flashed in its eyes as a fire-like silver light appeared around its body. Its body moved in an attempt to charge out of the demonic cloud's encirclement. Whoosh! At this moment, the giant silver ape was gone. The shadow of a black bear emerged from the demonic cloud, its sharp claws whistling through the wind as it pierced towards the giant ape's heart. The giant ape roared and swung its arms, smashing them against the sharp claws. Where the ape's arm landed, the sharp claws turned into demonic clouds and dissipated. The shadow of the black bear was also distorted in the clouds. Boom! Without waiting for the giant ape to retract its arm, the sound of wind rose behind the giant ape again. This time, the sound of wind was completely different from the previous sound of wind. A powerful aura was approaching from the sky, as if it was real. Damn it! The huge ape hurriedly turned around, and a silver beam of light shot out from its mouth like a huge sword. However, before the huge silver sword could travel a few feet, the giant ape's body suddenly trembled. A pitch-black bear paw reached out from its silver-white chest, and a stream of blood flowed out from its silver-white fur. The giant ape lowered its head to look at the fatal bear paw on its chest. Then, it raised its head to look at the aura that was as solid as a wave. It asked in confusion, "Which one is the real?" A low chuckle came from behind the giant ape. The black bear spirit's honest smile appeared from the distorted shadow. "The me behind is the real me. Didn't I tell you just now?" As he spoke, the black bear spirit pulled its paw out of the giant ape's body. Without any hesitation, it turned and pounced towards the giant golden lion. Damn it! The Lion King saw the giant ape's corpse fall into the deep lake. How could he dare to wait for the black bear spirit to come closer? He cursed and stomped his forepaws. Layers of golden shadows flashed, and he was about to escape into the void. At this point, "Do you still want to leave?" Little White Dragon sneered and chanted the heavenly dragon technique. Within 100 miles, the heaven and earth yuan qi surged. Layers of strange ripples spread out in all directions. Wherever the ripples passed, the void solidified. The Lion King's illusory body solidified once again. "What kind of mystique is this?" the Lion King asked. He did not ask for an answer. He only wanted to hide the fear in his heart. "You will know when you die." The black bear spirit stepped on the wind and spoke calmly. That simple and honest face in front of Xiaohua was just as ferocious in the eyes of the Lion King. The little white dragon also moved its dragon body and blocked the other side of the Lion King. In an instant, the Lion King's heart turned cold. He could already see his head being crushed by the black bear spirit's paw. However, at this moment, there was a rumbling sound in the space above the great ape's corpse. The space that was sealed by little white dragons started to shine. In the blink of an eye, the space 10,000 feet behind little white dragon shattered, and a gigantic great ape rushed out. The moment the great ape appeared, it saw the ape king that was killed by the black bear spirit. The great ape roared, "Who is it? Who dares to kill my ape grandson?" Following the giant ape's roar, the entire space within 1,000 miles shook. Countless waves of air rushed out. Not only were the trees and corpses sent flying, even the giant mountain rocks were overturned. The thunder and lightning that was triggered by little white dragon's appearance was swept away, revealing the clear sky. Great Ape King! Yuan Shihong suddenly realized. He looked at little white dragon and shouted, I was wondering why the Ape King wasn't afraid of my Python tribe's Python King. He even swore that there would be no problems. So he was working for the Great Ape King. Lin Han, I'd like to see how you will face the great sage of the demon tribe. Great Ape King, Great Ape King. The Golden Lion King cried out, it was this bear race and this unknown spirit race that killed the Ape King. You must avenge him. Damn it. The Great Ape King stretched out his body like a demon. He glared at the Lion King and roared, what the hell are you doing? Why are you in such a remote place? Didn't Ape 9 want to give me a gift? The Lion King hurriedly nodded. 9 Ape and I are here to prepare a gift for the Great Sage and our Rainbow Lion King. But as for the specific location of the gift, we don't know yet. Hearing this, the Great Ape King suddenly realized something. Ignoring the Lion King, he looked down at Little White Dragon and sneered, You're a dragon? Where's the Great Sage of the Dragon Tribe whose name was engraved on the holy rankings? Let Little White Dragon go. The Black Bear spirit flew out righteously and blocked Little White Dragon's path. He said bravely, I was the one who killed the little monkey. It has nothing to do with Little White Dragon. What did you say? The Great Ape King didn't understand what the Black Bear spirit was muttering. With a wave of his hand, the world darkened, as if the sky was collapsing on the Black Bear spirit. He's telling you that if you dare to attack, you'll end up like that little monkey. You'll die too. Seeing the Black Bear spirit's bravery, Xiaohua appeared out of thin air and said coldly. Along with Xiaohua's voice, Xiaohua extended a finger. That finger was like a star, and it lit up the entire sky. Moreover, as Xiaohua pointed his finger, boom. The sky that was originally collapsing suddenly flipped, and layers of spatial cracks fell towards the Great Ape King's body. The Great Sage of the human tribe, Xiaohua. The Great Ape King's eyes flashed with golden light. He spat out a mouthful of silver light, shattering the spatial cracks. Then he looked at Xiaohua thoughtfully and said, Great Sage of the human tribe. Yuan Shihong fainted. He didn't expect that 2 great sages would appear in this small gale abyss. Although he didn't know what kind of spirit tribe the human tribe was, when he saw Xiaohua's mountain-like aura and vast temperament, then looked at the Great Ape King's somewhat fearful expression, he understood that he had provoked a spirit tribe that he shouldn't have. He had done something he shouldn't have done. Kill him. Xiaohua ignored the Great Ape King and looked at Yuan Shihong. Yes, big brother. As Little White Dragon spoke, its eyes flashed with a fierce light. Its dragon horn flashed with multicolored light as it stabbed towards Yuan Shihong's heart. Yuan Shihong was shocked. He hurriedly struggled, wanting to dodge. Pooh! Unfortunately, just as he dodged Little White Dragon's dragon horn, the Black Bear spirit's bear paw had already pierced through his heart. Yuan Shihong turned his head with difficulty and shouted, You're still a full moon elite, how can you sneak attack me? The Black Bear spirit didn't understand what Yuan Shihong was saying. He only smiled sincerely and shrugged. Master said to kill you, that was his order. It has nothing to do with Little White Dragon. Unfortunately, Yuan Shihong would never hear what the Black Bear spirit said. The Black Bear spirit pulled his bear paw out of Yuan Shihong's corpse and looked at the Lion King again. At this time, the Lion King had already escaped from the Black Bear spirit and Little White Dragon's pincer attack. He quickly ran towards the Great Ape King. At this time, Xiaohua looked at the Great Ape King and said calmly, I am Xiaohua. You must be a great sage of the demon tribe on the saint rankings. Tell me your name. The Great Ape King ignored Xiaohua. His eyes flashed with golden light as he looked around. After a while, he said in surprise, Xiaohua, could it be that you're the only great sage of the human tribe here? What about the great sage of the dragon tribe, the great sage of the phoenix tribe, and the 2 great sages of the spirit tribe? Xiaohua looked at the Great Ape King and smiled. Facing a demon tribe member who doesn't even dare to say his name, I alone am enough. Hee, I'm the Great Ape King. The Great Ape King was not angry. He said his name and looked around. He said in surprise, "If you're the only great sage of the human tribe here, I definitely won't believe it. You're too calm. But if you say that all the other great sages are here, I also won't believe it. In this demon realm, is there a great sage who is more proficient in spatial concealment than me?" Chapter 4808. As he spoke, Little White Dragon had already activated the Heavenly Dragon technique to block the Lion King. Meanwhile, the Black Bear spirit slowly flew behind the Lion King and waved its two huge paws. Another wave of demonic chi surged out that the Lion King was already having trouble dealing with the Little White Dragon. Now that the Black Bear spirit, who looked honest but was actually extremely cunning, he was no match for it. Looking at the Great Ape King in the distance, he hurriedly shouted, "Great Sage, save me!" That the Lion King's voice was still floating in the air, but Little White Dragon's Heavenly Dragon technique had already covered his voice. The Black Bear spirit also swayed and rushed to the Lion King's side. Little White Dragon and the Black Bear spirit were not afraid of the Great Ape King at all, because they knew that Xiaohua would definitely not let the Great Ape King near the Lion King. However, the Black Bear spirit and Little White Dragon were still thinking too much. When Little White Dragon tangled with the Lion King, the Black Bear spirit tore the Lion King apart with two huge paws. The Great Ape King also had no intention of making a move. Xiaohua stood in the air thoughtfully, looking at the Great Ape King and smiling. "Why don't you make a move? Don't you want to test my strength?" The Great Ape King replied, "There's plenty of time to test your strength. Why the rush? Since he came with my 9 ape demon spirit, how can I let him go back unharmed?" Xiaohua raised his hand and rubbed his nose. He looked around and laughed. "I'm afraid that's not your only plan?" "That's right." Although the Great Ape King looked ferocious and arrogant, he did not hide his thoughts. He said, "Yellow Lion is also the Rainbow Lion King's favored son. This Black Bear killed Yellow Lion. How can the Rainbow Lion King not come?" That's right, that's right." Xiaohua nodded. "How can something that can directly present a gift to the great sage of the demon race be ordinary?" Swish, swish, swish. Just as they were talking, there was the sound of rain falling not far away in the sky. Strands of 9 colors gushed out like fireworks. Roar. A lion's roar that shook the heavens and earth came out from behind the fireworks. Following this lion's roar, all the 9 colors condensed into one place and turned into a huge rainbow bridge. When the rainbow bridge took shape, it quickly streaked across the space. When the rainbow bridge shrank, the silhouette of a huge lion was revealed. Buzz buzz. A low buzzing sound like a bee flapping its wings sounded. Waves of spatial fluctuations and light beams of the moon and stars blasted in. The huge monster body of the Rainbow Lion King was revealed. "Ah? Great Ape King!" The Rainbow Lion King cried out in disbelief as he saw the Great Ape King. After that, his gaze landed on Xiaohua. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes as he growled, "The great sage of the human race, Xiaohua?" "That's right." Xiaohua nodded. "You are the Rainbow Lion King? You dare to kill my son?" The Rainbow Lion King roared angrily as a 9-colored rainbow appeared around him. "Not only did I kill your son, but I also killed the Great Ape King's son." Xiaohua casually raised his hand and pointed below him, "because they were looking for some bullshit gift for you two great sages. They almost wiped out the Gale Abyss from the 10,000 demon realm." At this moment, the Black Bear spirit swaggered a few steps forward and bowed respectfully. "This little one has obeyed Master's orders and killed those 2 damned things." "That's right." Xiaohua nodded. "Go and ask the Python clan of the Gale Abyss what gift they were looking for and what other plans they have." "Yes, Master." The Black Bear spirit replied respectfully. His gaze was only on Xiaohua. He didn't even look at the 2 great sages who usually called the wind and rain in the 10,000 demon realm. Dragon Clan? The Rainbow Lion King didn't care about the Black Bear spirit. However, when he saw the little white dragon, he was extremely shocked. Then, he looked at the Great Ape King as if he understood something. "Fellow Daoist Yun, please come out." Xiaohua cupped his fists and said pretentiously to the distant sky. Reverend Yun let out a deep dragon roar. Countless dragon runes surged out from the sky. A dragon aura that could suppress heaven and earth rushed into the sky uncontrollably. Reverend Yun's mighty dragon body flew out from the light. The Rainbow Lion King's expression changed. Not only because Reverend Yun's aura was slightly stronger than his, but also because he couldn't sense where Reverend Yun flew out from. This wasn't a common spatial escape technique in the 10,000 demon realm, nor was it a natural ability of the demon race. Rainbow Lion King. The Great Ape King said, "This is the great sage Yun of the Dragon Clan." If the Swift Cherry Great Sage's guess is correct, the top 6 great sages on the saint ranking are together. If I'm not mistaken, the 2 great sages of the Phoenix Clan and the 2 great sages of the Spirit Clan are nearby as well. What do you think? Do you want to fight with him? Damn it. The Rainbow Lion King cursed in his heart. How could he not know the Great Ape King's intentions? Moreover, he also knew that the Great Ape King was in the same awkward situation as him. Firstly, his son was killed. If he didn't do anything, his reputation would be tarnished. Secondly, if it were any other great sages from the 10,000 demon realm, he wouldn't be afraid of them. However, the Rainbow Lion King was facing a great sage from another realm. He didn't know how strong his opponent was at all. Moreover, his opponent wasn't just one great sage, but 6 great sages. He and the Great Ape King were just 2 great sages. How could they be a match for 6 great sages? Moreover, even if there were 4 more great sages, the other 4 great sages wouldn't fight with unknown great sages for the sake of 2 insignificant great sages from the Ape Clan and the Lion Clan. Seeing the Rainbow Lion King hesitating, Xiaohua smiled and cupped his fists towards the distance. "If that's the case, fellow Daoist, please come out and meet me." Just as Xiaohua's voice fell, tens of thousands of thunderbolts descended, sealing off an area of 1,000 miles. Heavenly lightning wreaked havoc in the sky. When it reached a certain point, it fell again, and a Thunder Dharma body appeared out of thin air. The Thunder Immortal appeared between heaven and earth. The Rainbow Lion King sucked in a breath of cold air. He looked at the thunderbolts in the sky in disbelief and exclaimed, "Thunder Spirit Great Sage? I am the Thunder Immortal." The Thunder Immortal's gaze was like lightning. He glanced at the Rainbow Lion King with disdain and said coldly, "You dare to fight with this old man?" While the great sages were weighing the pros and cons, the black bear spirit flew over and said respectfully, "This little one is wrong." Xiaohua asked curiously, "What did you do wrong?" "This little one killed all the Ape Clan and Lion Clan that invaded the Gale Abyss. That's why I couldn't find out why they were here." The black bear spirit replied indifferently, "Please punish me, master." "What crime?" Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "What about the Python clan of the Gale Abyss?" The black bear spirit's face was once again filled with sincerity as he replied, "This lowly one has already investigated. The ape tribe and the lion tribe have already acted 100 years ago for some unknown conspiracy. They've killed the elders of the Gale Abyss. Furthermore, they've used force to divide the Python tribe and the snake tribe into 2 factions. About 100,000 people have died from the mutual slaughter. In the past 10 days, they've killed another 200,000 people from the Python tribe and the snake tribe in order to support a member of the Python tribe called Ma Hong as their puppet. Alright, no need to say any more." Xiaohua nodded. "They deserve to die. This master will reward you later." "Thank you, master." A smile appeared on the black bear spirit's face and he retreated to the side. In the distance, Little White Dragon carefully protected Huyu. As for the other Python clan and Snake clan, they were afraid of Little White Dragon's dragon might and didn't dare to come close. "Ha, is this for this sage to hear?" The Great Ape King laughed wildly and said angrily, "It's just a group of lowly pythons. It's their fortune to be killed by my Ape 9. Xiaohua, let this sage see your strength." While speaking, the Great Ape King touched his waist and took out an iron rod that was more than 1,000 zhang long. He raised it up and made a gesture of burning the sky, and shouted, "Xiaohua, eat this sage's rod." Seeing that the Great Ape King was also using a rod, Xiaohua was stunned for a moment and laughed, "Huh, it's only I'll let you see this Xiao's means. After speaking, Xiaohua reached out and took out the wishful staff. His body flashed and the staff rushed towards the great ape king like a mountain. Damn it! The great ape king had the same thought as Xiaohua. He was somewhat amazed by the wonders of this world. An outer realm great saint actually used a rod like him. Seeing the weight of Xiaohua's wishful staff and the exquisiteness of Xiaohua's rod technique, he couldn't help but curse in his heart. Spiritual Master Yun, support me. The Thunderbolt Spiritual Master saw Xiaohua making a move and his heart itched. He hurriedly shouted, I want to meet the great saint of the 10,000 demon realm. Thunderbolt Spiritual Master. Who knew that Spiritual Master Yun also hurriedly shouted, What are you fighting for? I came out first. Let I meet this lion race first. What are you shouting for? The Thunderbolt Spiritual Master said unhappily, I'm the second master of the Fortune Gate. Who are you listening to? You are supporting the second master from the side. The Rainbow Lion King was shocked to see Reverend Yun and Thunder Reverend quarreling with each other. In the 10,000 demon realm, there were demons who dared to challenge a great saint, but it was the first time he saw these two fighting to the death with him. Especially when he heard that the Thunderbolt Spiritual Master was only the second master of the Fortune Gate, he understood that. He was afraid that he would have to face a battle of attrition. What's the hurry? You all have a share. The Rainbow Lion King roared, Wait until this sage defeats the lightning spirit, then I'll fight with the dragon race. I'll let you all know how powerful this sage is. As he spoke, the Rainbow Lion King's body swayed. With a wave of his lion claws, the space several hundred li in front of the Thunderbolt Spiritual Master was lifted up. The lion claws turned into a huge light shadow, grabbing the collapsed space in its hands. An earth-shattering whistling sound rang out from the glowing figure, enveloping the space around the Thunderbolt Immortal. Moreover, where this force landed, countless tiny rainbows poured in like threads of light, and a strange force imprisoned the space. Give it a recommendation vote, collect it, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 4809. The Thunderbolt Immortal smiled and rubbed his hands together. Boom boom boom. Several thick bolts of lightning were produced from his hands. When they fell into the air, they turned into several huge dragons and flew in all directions. Wherever the thunder dragons passed, the confined space broke apart inch by inch. The rainbow-colored light that gushed out was also swallowed by the thunder dragons. Rumble. The Thunderbolt Immortal stopped his technique and stretched out his right hand again. The entire space was shaking. A huge fist condensed from 9 heavens divine thunder broke through the air and met the light and shadow condensed from space at heavens. Is this a battle between great sages? Seeing the firmament collapsing, the stars falling, and the thunder defending against the enemy, whether it was the sun or the vast sun, they were colorless. The entire world only had the figures of the Rainbow Lion King and the Thunderbolt Immortal. Their eyes were filled with endless magical powers, and their ears were filled with rumbling sounds. Just the leaked power pushed down the mountain peak. Just the falling multicolored light shattered the deep pool. Shui Yu's eyes were filled with incomparable surprise, and she couldn't help but groan in a low voice. Not bad. The little white dragon in front of her not only blocked the flying rocks and trees, but also built up her confidence. This is the power of a great sage. However, I still have to tell you, everything in front of you is just a test. The great sages and my big brother have not used their most powerful techniques. Will not fight to the death for a few little monkeys and lions. Boom boom boom. At this time, several rumbling sounds rang out in succession. High up in the sky, several parts of the void were shattered by the collision between the great ape king's iron staff and Xiaohua's wishful staff. In a moment, from the void rushed out a chi wave more turbulent than the waves of the sea. This chi wave fell from the sky and set off a gale. Amidst the raging wind, the water in the lake cracked, the rocks were sent flying, and amidst the blood, many corpses of pythons were turned into meat paste. Shui Yu murmured again, When can I cultivate to such a level? There's still me. The little white dragon's dragon tail rolled slightly and landed on top of Shui Yu's python tail. Shui Yu's python body trembled a few times. She lowered her head and said, "You're only a star master. There's still a long way to go before you reach Great Sage. Furthermore, you're going to leave with the Great Sage of the human race eventually." The little white dragon's dragon tail gradually wrapped around Hu Yu's python tail, and the powerful yang energy caused Hu Yu's python body to tremble even more. Hu Yu was unable to resist the natural attractive force. Just as Hu Yu was about to say something, little white dragon's words made her heart tremble. "No," the little white dragon said. "Gale Abyss is my home. Since I've returned, I won't leave again. Of course, even if I leave, it will only be temporary. I will definitely return. After all, you're here, and the millions of clan spirits." Hu Yu actually wanted to talk about herself, but she changed her mind when she was about to say it. "They are just pythons. How can they see into the eyes of a dragon like you?" Pythons and dragons are also part of the dragon race. The little white dragon smiled and said, "Besides, I used to be a python too, and an inconspicuous little white snake. Don't worry. The Gale Abyss will no longer be the Gale Abyss of the past. In the future, the Gale Abyss will definitely be the center of attention of the 10,000 demon realm. We'll also witness the birth of a great sage of the dragon race, a dragon sage from the Gale Abyss." Bai Yu's heart melted. Just as she was about to open her mouth to speak, another two loud rumbling sounds were heard. Ha! The great ape king's wild laughter was heard again. The thunderous rumbling sounds fell like thunder, scaring Bai Yu so much that her body trembled. Little white dragon's dragon claws slightly pulled Bai Yu's python head to his neck. One python and one dragon were glued to each other like glue, watching the battle between the great saints on the ground. This little lascivious dragon. In the distance, the black bear spirit stood quietly at a low altitude, secretly cursing. He moved his gaze away from the entangled python and dragon and looked at the sky. At this time, Xiaohua's body flashed with a dark golden brilliance, like a demon god. He was waving his staff to send the great ape king flying. Seeing the great ape king's incomparable power, he couldn't help but frown. It was not that Xiaohua had never met an opponent with great strength, but the great ape king was clearly one of the few opponents he had met in his life. Not only was the great ape king's staff powerful, but his staff technique was also very powerful. It was comparable to his own heavenly staff technique. In this moment of fighting, Xiaohua not only did not gain the upper hand, but his arms were also a little sore. This was something he had rarely seen before. Seeing the great ape king rolling in the air, looking like he was about to pounce again, Xiaohua sneered. Since he had already moved his muscles and bones, his attitude had already been clear. If the great ape king still didn't know what was good for him, Xiaohua didn't mind killing him here. Ha! Just when Xiaohua's heart was filled with killing intent, the great ape king laughed loudly. His two claws tore the void, and his figure fell into it. He shouted, "Refreshing, refreshing, Xiaohua, I have already enjoyed myself to the fullest today. When I have time in the future, I will find you to fight again." After saying that, the great ape king's figure disappeared. Damn it! The Rainbow Lion King roared when he saw the great ape king leaving without a shred of integrity as a great saint. He was currently trapped by Thunderbolt Reverend's thunder technique, and the whole space was sealed, making it impossible for him to tear the void apart. Moreover, once the great ape king left, if Thunderbolt Reverend had the intention to kill him, he would definitely be on guard against his escape. It was no different from daydreaming for him to escape from the siege of 3 great saints. Seeing the great ape king trying to escape, Reverend Yun laughed loudly. His dragon body swayed, and thousands of dragon shadows rushed out, blocking the Rainbow Lion King's escape route. Meanwhile, Xiaohua waved his wishful staff. A ghostly wail was heard, and his huge golden body shattered the void, blocking the other side of the Rainbow Lion King. His eyes flashing with golden light were full of mockery. The great ape king's action of dying a fellow Daoist rather than dying was deeply engraved in his heart. Although Reverend Yun and Xiaohua were just standing in midair and did not attack, the pressure they were exerting was equivalent to half of Thunderbolt Reverend. The Rainbow Lion King was a little confused, as if he could see the tragedy of his own death. However, just when the Rainbow Lion King was pondering how to deal with it, woo! A strange sound came from the distant sky. Then, layers upon layers of wind whistled. The wind whistled so loudly and so powerfully that it caused Xiaohua and the others to be slightly sideways. Naturally, Xiaohua released his divine sense and looked into the distance. However, as soon as he released his divine sense, a strange expression appeared on his face. This was because in the distant horizon, the space within several hundred miles had strangely collapsed. The collapsed void formed into strange rings, and these rings fell to the ground. At the same time, around the collapsed rings, waves of energy were generated and spread in all directions. Wherever the waves passed, the energy of heaven and earth turned into threads of crystal light and fell into the void. Even more so, as the energy of heaven and earth collided, hurricanes were generated within several thousand miles, and the 5 elements in the entire space showed signs of chaos. When Xiaohua's divine sense fell into the ripples, it was torn to shreds. Xiaohua was stunned for a moment, then he was ecstatic. He had seen this scene when he was in the ruins. Wasn't it the strange phenomenon when the magnetism was born? Damn it. This Xiao understands now. Xiaohua was overjoyed. The metal and wood mountain little white dragon mentioned is in that direction. Moreover, the metal and wood mountain range also has magnetism. Although I don't know how the Grand Mist Ancestor got the Jade Eye, if the Jade Eye came from the 10,000 Demon World, then the Grand Mist Ancestor didn't lie to this Xiao. The metal and wood mountain range is where the magnetism I'm looking for is located. Oh no. The Jade Eye didn't come from the 10,000 Demon World because there is no Jade Eye in the 10,000 Demon World. Moreover, the language recorded in the 10,000 Demon World is definitely not the language recorded in the Jade Eye. If the 10,000 Demon World had a Jade Eye that spread to the 3 continents, then where did this Xiao obtain the merit of splitting open the heavens? The Grand Mist Ancestor must have lied to this Xiao, using the name of the metal and wood mountain range to lure this Xiao into a trap. But the 10,000 Demon World really does have a metal and wood mountain range, and this metal and wood mountain range really does have magnetism, but I don't know if this magnetism is the metal and wood magnetism. Boom boom. Just as Xiaohua was thinking, another strange phenomenon fell from the sky. A huge rainbow seemed to come from the sky, passing through the collapsed void and falling to the ground. This rainbow was 5 colors: red, black, green, white, and yellow were the 5 primary colors. At the end of this huge rainbow, there was a huge halo flashing, and the shadows of the vermilion bird, black tortoise, azure dragon, white tiger, and Qilin vaguely appeared. A huge pressure enveloped the surrounding 10,000 miles, including the swift wind abyss. Furthermore, right at the edge of this aura, the great ape king silver body also emerged from the void. His eyes were also filled with joy as he looked at the rainbow. Roar! A deafening sound came from where the rainbow fell, and a huge silver-white tiger spirit shadow rushed out from the ground, roaring at the sky, and countless rainbows fell into its mouth. Roar! At the same time, at the other end of the rainbow, another dragon roar came out, and a huge azure dragon spirit shadow rushed into the sky, and at the place where it opened its mouth, there were also rainbows falling in. Ha! Wonderful, wonderful! The great ape king laughed, and the silver light around his body flashed, tearing the shackles of the sky, and forcibly flying towards the rainbow. Metal and wood origin spirit? The Rainbow Lion King, who was trapped by Xiaohua, saw the strange situation in the distance, and couldn't help but cry out, "This sage understands what the yellow lion wants to offer to this sage. Is this metal and wood origin spirit?" Chapter 48:10. Rainbow Lion King. Xiaohua's loud shout is like a clap of thunder. He shouts, "This Xiao wants this metal wood origin spirit. If you want it, leave your life here. Fellow Thunder Daoist, fellow Dragon Daoist, guard this place. Give Rainbow Lion King a cup of tea's time to consider. If he doesn't leave, kill him immediately." After he finished speaking, Xiaohua's figure flickered and he actually used the metal escape technique. Like a swimming fish, he freely flew towards the metal and wood dual boundary mountain. His speed was much faster than the great ape king's. Rainbow Lion King's face showed hesitation, but he sneered in his heart. The metal wood origin spirit was a rare thing in the 10,000 demon realm. As long as one was fated to obtain it, his strength would definitely increase greatly. Especially for a wood attribute great saint like himself, obtaining the wood origin spirit would definitely surpass the laws of the 10,000 demon realm. Similarly, as a metal attribute great ape king, he naturally wanted the metal wood origin spirit. In the face of such a temptation, how could Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King give up? Of course, Rainbow Lion King also knew that although he and Great Ape King were facing the great saints of the Human Clan, Dragon Clan, and Thunder Spirit Great Saint, once the metal wood origin spirit appeared, the other great saints would definitely come. At that time, even if Xiao Hua and the other great saints appeared at the same time, they would definitely not be a match for the great saints of the 10,000 demon realm. Of course, what Rainbow Lion King thought of, Great Ape King also thought of, but Great Ape King was one step ahead of him. Naturally, Great Ape King would not give in and wanted to compete with Xiao Hua's speed. Xiao Hua coldly snorted, looked up and shouted, "Fellow Daoists, please make your move." In the distant sky, a phoenix cry sounded, and Feng Wu and Huang Tong's huge figures appeared. Spreading their wings, they flew through the layers of restrictions and landed on top of Great Ape King's head. Great Ape King saw the two great saints of the Phoenix clan appear and couldn't help but be surprised. How can the strength of these two great saints be so unfathomable? The space where the metal wood origin spirit appears is imprisoned. Even this saint can't escape, but they are still hiding in the space. How can this saint be their opponent? Damn it! Why haven't the other great sages come yet? Great Ape King. Feng Wu's figure descended, and the brilliance of the stars and moon around him was like a waterfall. The shadow on his demon body gave off a ferocious aura comparable to that of the Great Ape King. He opened his mouth and said, "If you know what's good for you, you'll still be the great saint of the 10,000 demon realm. We're just passers-by in the 10,000 demon realm. We won't leave any trace in the sky of the 10,000 demon realm." Huang Tong did not reveal any power of the stars and moon. However, there was a layer of spatial laws around him that distorted the void. Not only was his figure unclear, but his voice was also stretched out. If you don't know what's good for you, the 10,000 demon realm will have one less great saint. In the history of the 10,000 demon realm, there will be an immortal legend. Damn it! Are you threatening me? The Great Ape King roared. Huang Tong faintly glanced at him. He had already blocked his path with Feng Wu. He said, "That's all you have to say. As for what I mean, you can think whatever you want." The Great Ape King was enraged. As he roared, he opened his mouth and a giant whirlpool appeared above his head. The whirlpool was silver-white, and threads of light crazily swam within it. Amidst the howling of the wind, countless pillars of light fell from the sky. They passed through the silver whirlpool and turned into a thick crystal light that fell into the Great Ape King's mouth. Wang! A silver-white light screen appeared above the Great Ape King's body. Within this light screen, the Great Ape King suddenly grew to 1,000 feet tall. What was special was that as the Great Ape King's body grew, his body became transparent. A kind of sharpness of a flying sword rushed out from this transparent silver-white light and surged towards Feng Wu and Huang Tong. It was as if the white tiger had sensed the golden spiritual energy around the Great Ape King. The white tiger also let out a roar and wanted to charge into the rainbow. Unfortunately, no matter how hard the white tiger tried, its four paws were still trapped on the ground. Similarly, on the other side of the rainbow, the azure dragon was also struggling. However, its tail was as heavy as a ton, so it couldn't fly. Seeing that it couldn't break free, the white tiger opened its mouth and a pillar of silver light fell into the whirlpool above the Great Ape King's head. With a bang, the whirlpool shattered and the pillar of light entered the Great Ape King's mouth. The Great Ape King's body trembled and the silver light around his body began to fold. After a moment, there were two roars and the Great Ape King turned into a two-headed, four-armed spirit statue. The great ape king waved his two arms and took out his iron staff again. This time, the iron staff emitted a silver light and smashed toward Feng Wu even more fiercely than before. At the same time, the great ape king's other two arms were like giant swords that split the void. Several rays of dark space energy fell like spider tentacles toward Huang Tong. Seeing the great ape king attack, the Rainbow Lion King looked around and knew that many great saints were about to arrive. He roared, "Huh, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. This is the 10,000 demon realm. If you want to take the metal and wood spirit from the 10,000 demon realm, then you'll have to step over this saint's body." As he spoke, the Rainbow Lion King's body surged with a 9-colored brilliance once more. This 9-colored brilliance was different from before. As soon as it appeared, it was as if a hole had opened in the heavens. Countless beams of starlight and moonlight fell down, forming a thin void barrier around the Rainbow Lion King. Within this barrier, tens of thousands of stars flashed. It was extremely beautiful. The Rainbow Lion King opened its mouth, and a 9-colored rainbow bridge charged into the void barrier and disappeared. A moment later, this rainbow bridge appeared next to the rainbow near the Goldwood primordial spirit. As this rainbow bridge entered the rainbow, the roaring azure dragon was also delighted. Several clear rays of light were spat out. These clear rays of light seemed to pass through the void and instantly fell near the Rainbow Lion King. The Rainbow Lion King let out a low roar. It raised its right claw and slapped towards the thunder reverend that wherever the lion claws passed by, light and shadows would disappear. Countless pitch-black colors mixed with green filled up the space. Waves of rumbling sounds rang out in the pitch-black, as if endless small worlds were being created and destroyed within it. Upon seeing this, Thunderbolt Immortal dared not to be careless. He clenched his right fist. Amidst the flashing of lightning and the roaring of thunder, a courage that could split the heaven and earth was born. His fist met the lion's attack with the power of life and death. Since the Rainbow Lion King had made his move, Reverend Yun naturally would not sit still and watch. He knew very well that Xiao Hua, who had always left some leeway to his enemies, had rarely issued an order to kill. Because in Xiao Hua's eyes, although gold and wood were the materials used to forge the wishful staff of 5 elements, they were also the sharp weapon that could topple the 3 peaks of heaven, earth, and man, and also the foundation that could save the billions of living beings in the 3 continents. Compared to the billions of living beings, Xiao Hua naturally ignored the Rainbow Lion King's arrogance. Reverend Yun recited the heavenly dragon spell from his mouth. In the space confined by the golden wood spirit, countless dragon runes emerged, and a fierce aura of dragon that could fight against the heaven and earth gushed out crazily. After that, Reverend Yun raised his 5-clawed dragon claw. A golden light that could restrain all evils shone from the claw as it fell onto the Rainbow Lion King's head. Xiao Hua did not hesitate to expose his true strength. He asked Thunderbolt Immortal and Reverend Yun to work together to stop the Rainbow Lion King, and asked Feng Wu and Huang Tong to work together to stop the Great Ape King. He was afraid that the 2 great saints from the demon realm would have some special divine ability that they could use before him. Therefore, he exercised the escape art of gold and quickly approached the rainbow that fell from the sky. At this moment, where the rainbow shrouded, the power of the 5 elements had already been shattered and thrown into disorder. The twisted laws of heaven and earth fell down like a huge ring, and the aftershocks were even more vast than the waves of the sea as they pounced toward Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly and was once again bewildered. How can this metal and wood magnetism have such power? Could it be that even the gold and wood spirit can turn into spirits in the demon realm? Xiao Hua's guess was right. The closer he got to the gold and wood spirit, the stranger and stranger the power of primordial spirit was, and it was trying its best to reach Xiao Hua. If it was an ordinary human cultivator, they would be helpless in this place. Not only was the primordial chi of heaven and earth in disorder, they could not use their magic power, but the 5 elements in the corporeal body also made them unable to get close. Xiao Hua was naturally different. His chaotic body did not have any attributes, and now under the resistance of the gold primordial spirit, He was using the escape art of gold. The so-called resistance was just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Oh. Seeing Xiaohua waving his hand, the thunderbolt hand fell and crushed the power of primordial spirit. The white tiger let out a wail. Its body shone brightly, and the space several miles to the left instantly turned silvery white. An extreme coldness came out from this silvery white color. The white tiger rolled its tail and escaped from the rainbow, turning around and wanting to land on the ground. Xiaohua laughed and said loudly, "Since you're here, why leave?" Immediately, Xiaohua's body flashed with lightning, and a shadow appeared. A distorted light stretched out, and the silvery white space was instantly penetrated. Xiaohua, who used the escape art of lightning, swept over the white tiger's head at a speed 100 times faster than the white horse flees the rift. He actually rushed to the azure dragon on the other side of the rainbow. The moment Xiaohua swept past the white tiger, a drop of blood was smeared on the white tiger's forehead. The blood fell on the white tiger's forehead, and a golden light shone. The white tiger let out a wail, and the silver light around its body rushed towards the golden light on its forehead. Unfortunately, before the silver light could converge, the golden light had already turned into golden threads and penetrated the white tiger. The blood color also began to spread all over the white tiger's forehead. The great ape king waved his iron staff and tried his best to resist the phoenix Wu's wings. His eyes looked at Xiaohua in the distance. Seeing Xiaohua rush into the rainbow, the great ape king was shocked and angry. Damn it! The moment the great ape king was distracted, Huang Tong's sharp claws landed on the great ape king's silver arm. Gotcha! The sound of cracking could be heard, and the indestructible arm shattered. What scared the great ape king the most was that when his demon body shattered, he also felt his primordial spirit shatter. He really didn't know what kind of technique Huang Tong, who came from another world, used. Give it a recommendation vote, collect it, and thank you for all your support. Chapter 48:11. At this time, all kinds of strange phenomena began to appear in the sky. Void bubbles surged, tricolored true light appeared, the pitch-black outline of a door unfolded like a picture scroll, and light spread out like a flood of light. The great ape king was a little anxious. He clearly knew that the great sages ranked on the saint rankings must have been attracted by this skyrocketing phenomenon, and had rushed over one after another. If he didn't stop Xiaohua's actions, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to obtain the metalwood origin spirit again. If I don't fight now, when will I? Great Ape King made up his mind. His eyes, which were originally shining with golden light, were now bloodshot. The Great Ape King's gaze swept across Feng Wu and Huang Tong. He suddenly opened his mouth and a flashing silver demon core rushed out. The moment this demon core appeared, the space within a few dozen miles immediately distorted and shrank toward this silver light. Feng Wu and Huang Tong's bodies involuntarily fell toward the demon core. Feng Wu and Huang Tong were shocked. They hurriedly spread their wings, condensed the light of the stars and moon into thunder to block, or used the space escape technique to dodge. Buzz. At this time, the silver demon pill suddenly trembled as if it was about to explode. A strong repulsive force rushed out and the sucked space exploded in all directions. Oh no, we've been tricked. Feng Wu and Huang Tong immediately sensed the Great Ape King's plan when they saw the Great Ape King's powerful force pushing their demonic bodies. They cursed in their hearts. The Great Ape King's huge demonic body was as light as a feather. He followed the demonic core that was even faster than a meteor and charged toward the metal, wood, and magnetic rainbow. Damn it. Huang Tong's body was unstable. She spread her wings and was about to give chase. But at this time, Xiaohua's understated voice appeared in her mind. Since Great Ape King wants to die, let him come. Both of you should be on guard. The other great sages of the 10,000 demon realm. I'm afraid they will appear. Ha, congratulations. Hearing Xiaohua's voice, how could Feng Wu not know that Xiaohua had succeeded? She replied with a smile. What's there to congratulate? It takes time to refine the gold and wood original spirit. It also takes strength to resist the great sages of the 10,000 demon realm. Xiaohua said lightly, "If we don't have a thunderous method, I'm afraid we can't deter them." Fellow Daoist thunder, after a while, released the Rainbow Lion King. As a matter of fact, even without Xiaohua's reminder, the Rainbow Lion King was also very anxious when he saw the Great Ape King escaping from the battlefield. Unfortunately, he was facing Reverend Yun and Reverend Thunder Immortal. Reverend Yun's heavenly dragon speech technique had sealed off the surrounding space, while Reverend Thunder Immortal's Thunderclap Palm and Thunder Immortal's Thunder Element magic were extremely powerful. Therefore, the Rainbow Lion King was unable to escape for a short period of time. Swish! Not waiting for Xiaohua's voice to reach the bottom of the Thunderbolt Immortal's heart, he saw the Rainbow Lion King's huge body sway. The rainbow light completely converged. At the place where the Rainbow Lion King's monster body shrunk, a broad bean-shaped 9-colored cocoon of light appeared in front of the Thunderbolt Immortal. This! Reverend Thunder Immortal was puzzled. However, before his hand could land, the light cocoon exploded. Countless colorful beams shot into the void like vines, wrapping both Reverend Yun and Reverend Thunder Immortal within. What is this guy trying to do? The Thunderbolt Immortal waved his hand, tearing the void apart. However, at this moment, the light around the vines dimmed and the Rainbow Lion King's body disappeared. Although the Thunderbolt Immortal had received Xiaohua's order to release the Rainbow Lion King, the Rainbow Lion King had escaped by himself, which made the Thunderbolt Immortal lose face. When the Thunderbolt Immortal and Reverend Yun turned around, the Rainbow Lion King's figure had already appeared behind them. It had transformed into a rainbow and was rushing toward the gold and wood original spirit that had yet to disappear. Damn it! Reverend Thunderbolt was enraged. He lifted his hand and a bolt of lightning tore through the void, about to stab into the Rainbow Lion King's back. But at this time, a surprised voice sounded out from the skies. Thunder Spirit Great Sage? Thunder? Dragon Race Great Sage? Why are you all here? His voice was filled with surprise, but there was also a hint of joy in his surprise. The Thunderbolt Immortal raised his head slightly and saw that in the distant horizon, hundreds of miles away, the flowing lights were blooming like flowers. The flowing lights cut through the void, and the flowers covered the space. A colorful shadow fell from the extraordinary splendor, and when the flowers bloomed, the shadow solidified, and a graceful phoenix was revealed. Colorful Phoenix King? When the Thunderbolt Immortal saw the phoenix, he knew it was the colorful Phoenix King who had sent out the phoenix emissaries. As he asked in a low voice, he made an incantation gesture with his hand. Boom! The thunderbolt that was thrusting toward the Rainbow Lion King exploded immediately. Of course, the Rainbow Lion King was not injured, but half of the swaying shadow was destroyed. I'm the colorful Phoenix King of the sacred Phoenix race. Greetings, Thunder Spirit Great Sage. The colorful Phoenix King had worked hard before, so she would not do anything wrong now. She retracted her gaze from the strange phenomenon of gold and wood original spirit and quickly greeted the Thunderbolt Immortal. The Thunderbolt Immortal was puzzled when he saw the colorful Phoenix King's beautiful wings flapping. He did not know what she was doing. Beside him, Reverend Yun flew over with a smile, raised his dragon claw and said, I'm the Reverend Yun. Greetings, colorful Phoenix King. Oh, I'm the Thunderbolt Immortal. Greetings, colorful Phoenix King. The Thunderbolt Immortal was enlightened. Naturally, he returned the favor with a salute. The colorful Phoenix King was overjoyed when she saw that the two great sages of other races were amiable, which was similar to what Phoenix Emissary No. 9 had said. She quickly smiled and said, Greetings, great sage of the dragon race. While they were greeting each other, a huge peacock flew out from the spot where the tricolored true light appeared. The great eagle king flew out from the spot where the void bubble was surging. Behind the pitch-black door, the figure of the rapid Sakura great sage was swaying faintly. As for the spot where the light was spreading like waves, the shadow of the three-legged golden crow had been projected. Seeing that the great sages were about to arrive, the colorful Phoenix King hurriedly asked, Thunder Sage, Dragon Sage, what's going on? The Thunderbolt Immortal rolled his eyes and answered indifferently, We have something to tell you. Do we need to tell you? The colorful Phoenix King smiled. Just as she was about to answer, she saw the space in the distance collapsing and the rainbow piercing through the heaven and earth. All of a sudden, a black-white light that was 10,000 times sharper than a sword cut through the rainbow. A murderous aura that was so cold that it could shatter one's soul quickly shrouded the area within 10,000 miles. The colorful Phoenix King was shocked. She hurriedly looked towards the source of the murderous aura. When she saw what was happening clearly, the smile on her face froze. As for the Great Ape King, he activated the demonic core and rushed out of the joint blockade of Feng Wu and Huang Tong. Under the lead of the silver demonic core, his huge demonic body flashed through the space of 1,000 miles. Seeing that Xiaohua had already flown up from the other side of the rainbow, the roaring azure dragon was now flashing with golden light. A drop of blood had seeped in from the azure dragon's dragon horn. The azure dragon struggled with all its might but was unable to stop the blood from entering. How could the Great Ape King not know that Xiaohua had already done something to the gold and wood original spirit? How could the incomparably arrogant Great Ape King hold back the anger in his heart? He roared, "Damned human! Today you shall die here!" As he spoke, the entire space within a few hundred miles of where the Great Ape King was trembling violently. Countless pillars of starlight and moonlight fell down like a flood, crazily rushing into the demonic core. The demonic core flashing with silver light rapidly expanded. In an instant, it was tens of thousands of feet in size. Roar! The Great Ape King roared. His huge demonic body actually took a step forward and rushed into the demonic core. At this moment, Xiaohua had just flown into the air. He was also looking at the Great Ape King in bewilderment. He didn't know what kind of divine ability the Great Ape King was using. Just as the Great Ape King's figure entered the demonic core, the huge demonic core immediately exploded. In the soaring flames, thousands of Great Ape Kings rushed out from the flames. Without waiting for these figures to settle down, countless pillars of starlight and moonlight rushed out from the void. These thousands of Great Ape Kings rapidly expanded. In the blink of an eye, they all turned into Great Ape Kings that were exactly the same as the previous Great Ape King. Seeing that these thousands of Great Ape Kings had the same aura, the same ferociousness, and the same strength, Xiaohua's eyes narrowed. He swept with his divine sense. Shua shua. His divine sense was already cut apart by the chaotic power of the 5 elements. Forget it. Xiaohua withdrew his divine sense and said loudly, "Great Ape King, you and I are not mortal enemies. I also don't want to be ruthless. This Xiao is going to use this metal and wood original spirit to save the world. It is 10,000 times more important than what you are using. So, this Xiao will remind you one last time, it is still not too late to stop now." Xiaohua's voice was extremely loud, like the roar of thunder in the whole world. Bullshit! Thousands of Great Ape Kings shouted in unison, "I have taken a fancy to this metal and wood original spirit. This metal and wood original spirit is mine. I will give you one last chance. If you don't leave, don't blame me for beating you into meat paste." After saying that, the Great Ape King didn't give Xiaohua any chance to speak again. Thousands of Great Ape Kings opened their mouths at the same time. Silver light mixed with blood light completely sealed the area within 1,000 miles. This silver light was extremely fierce, as if every ray of light carried the fury of the Great Ape King. What was special was that when this ray of light entered the chaotic 5 elements and collapsed space, it actually shook the rainbow that ran through the heaven and earth. That Xiaohua's expression changed. Because the power of this silver light was really too great, it was really like thousands of Great Ape Kings attacking at the same time. It was far more powerful than his hundreds of scattered nascent souls. If this silver light fell, not to mention his physical body, it would be difficult for his soul to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Xiaohua coldly snorted. With a flip of his hand, the death spirit origin light shot out. At this time, the blade gourd was already different from before. A layer of black and white light covered the blade gourd. Along with Xiaohua's hand forming a seal and touching the blade gourd, a black and white thing with a nose and eyes appeared. Whoosh! When this black and white thing opened its eyes, a black and white light screen instantly rushed out of the blade gourd, as if it wanted to cover the whole world. This light screen was different from the great ape king's silver light. It seemed to be able to split open the heaven and earth. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Immediately, thousands of death spirit origin light flew out, covering the sky and covering the earth. An ominous aura that covered the heaven and earth instantly rippled out violently. Chapter 48:12. The spirit-slaying Yuan light was no longer green and red like before. It had already turned into a yin-yang light. Wherever the yin-yang light passed, everything was destroyed. Regardless of whether it was the chaotic five elements, the collapsed space, or the ferocious silver light, nothing could stop it. Puff puff puff. Almost at the same time, thousands of spirit-slaying vital light landed on the heads of thousands of great ape kings. Without any resistance, the spirit-slaying vital light pierced deep into the brains of these great ape kings. Only a strange crown appeared on the head of a great ape king furthest away from Xiaohua. It blocked the spirit-slaying vital light. Of course, this was the true body of the great ape king. The great ape king's face was filled with shock as he stared at the silver light that was capable of completely obliterating Xiaohua. The great ape king retreated like a receding tide. His mouth gaped open as if he wanted to say something. In the blink of an eye, the spirit-slaying vital light flashed with an incomparably sharp halo. Wasn't this the essence of the world-destroying ephemera king's hind leg? Where the halo landed, it actually shattered the crown of the saint ranking. The spirit-slaying vital light went straight for the root of the problem. Xiaohua's gaze swept across the sky. Many great saints had already appeared. They looked at Xiaohua and the great ape king in confusion. Unfortunately, none of them spoke. Kill. Xiaohua's heart moved. The spirit-slaying vital light intersected. The great ape king's head fell from his body. At the same time, a huge silver primordial spirit flew out of the great ape king's body. Unfortunately, just like the metal primordial spirit white tiger and wood primordial spirit green dragon, the spirit-slaying vital light was like a nail that firmly nailed the primordial spirit to the body. No matter how the great ape king struggled, he couldn't escape. The great ape king, who had already been reduced to a primordial spirit, was still irritable. He roared and struggled. At this time, a phoenix cry resounded through the sky. Huang Tong flapped her wings and landed. Ah! The great ape king's primordial spirit saw Huang Tong and immediately panicked. Previously, with the protection of the demon body, the great ape king didn't feel anything scary about Huang Tong. However, with the primordial spirit, the great ape king suddenly realized that Huang Tong was filled with an aura that made him afraid. It was as if this phoenix body was formed from the souls of all living things. In the eyes of this great sage of the phoenixes, he was nothing more than food. The great ape king wasn't lying. Huang Tong was originally a phoenix dharma body. She used the netherworld wind to build her body in Mingxi. Then, she used the souls of Chao and I to condense her body. When Huang Tong reached the Xianyuan space, she swallowed all spirits and became the true king of all spirits. Weren't the great ape king, the golden-winged great Peng, the nether demonic dragon spider, and the grand mist ancestors' souls his food? Shua. Huang Tong opened her mouth and demonic energy landed on Great Ape King's primordial spirit. Great Ape King's primordial spirit immediately turned into a shadow and was swallowed by Huang Tong. As the Great Ape King was slain, the other 1,000 or so Great Ape King incarnations also collapsed, turning into pure and fresh moonlight. How can we waste such delicious food? Huang Tong spread her wings, and the 100-beast flag fell into the sky. Demonic aura spewed out and covered the space. As the 100-beast flag flapped, it swept away the brilliance of the moon and stars. Where do you think you're going? Huang Tong finished. Xiaohua scolded again. He raised his hand and pointed at the sword gourd. The spirit-slaying vital light that had not been retracted turned and pierced into the void. Naturally, the Rainbow Lion King was running away in the void. This great saint of the lion tribe had dodged the joint attack of Lightning Reverend and Yun Reverend. He was quite proud of himself and was ready to join hands with Great Ape King to kill Xiaohua and seize the gold and wood primordial spirit. However, before his pride could grow, he saw the power of the spirit slaying vital light. The ferocious energy that could kill gods and destroy ghosts had completely obliterated the hope in his heart. What left in his heart was regret and regret. The spirit-slaying vital light killed Great Ape King too quickly. Just as the Rainbow Lion King was filled with regret, Great Ape King was already dead. Seeing Huang Tong fly past, the Rainbow Lion King did not dare to hesitate. Rainbow lights shone around his body as he fled into the void. Since the Rainbow Lion King had risked his life to escape, his speed was naturally fast. In just a few breaths, his body had disappeared. The traces in the void were like ripples on the surface of a lake, gradually calming down. At this time, Huang Tong had just swallowed Great Ape King's primordial spirit. Xiaohua pointed at the sword gourd again, and the spirit-slaying vital light pierced into the void. Great sage of the human race, please have mercy. Seeing Xiaohua's merciless attack, the swift cherry grand sage, who had just revealed himself, hurriedly cried out. Xiaohua looked around and saw more than 10 great sages of various races whose strength exceeded the 9th level of essence power. They were standing in various places. Whether intentionally or not, they surrounded Xiaohua and the others. Xiaohua glanced at the kind-looking rabbit spirit and said embarrassedly, "You're too late." As Xiaohua's voice fell, the spirit-slaying vital light that pierced into the void retracted. The Rainbow Lion King's primordial spirit was pulled out of the void by the spirit-slaying vital light. Not only the swift cherry grand sage, but the other great sages who had not made a sound all sucked in a breath of cold air. Because in their hearts, they knew that since the Rainbow Lion King had escaped into the void, he would not have used the usual escape route. However, this great sage of the human race did not even look at where the Rainbow Lion King escaped to. He only used the spirit-slaying vital light to kill the Rainbow Lion King. What was special was that the spirit-slaying vital light was a lethal weapon. Even the primordial spirit of a great sage of the demon race was not spared. Since the Rainbow Lion King had cultivated to the level of a great sage, he naturally had many life-saving methods. Anyone would believe that whether it was the Rainbow Lion King or the Great Ape King, as long as their primordial spirits were left behind, they would definitely have methods unknown to others to rise again. However, they had encountered the spirit-slaying vital light. Their primordial spirits were pinned down and there was no way for them to escape. All their methods were useless. As expected, just as the spirit-slaying vital light retracted, Huang Tong, who had swallowed the Great Ape King's primordial spirit, let out a phoenix cry. As she spread her wings, another wave of demonic aura descended. Help! The Rainbow Lion King, who had not shouted this word for many years, was terrified. Seeing Huang Tong attack, he could not help but cry out. Great sage of the phoenix race. The swift cherry grand sage did not know Huang Tong's name and hurriedly shouted, "Can you show mercy?" Huang Tong stopped and turned to look at the swift cherry grand sage. "Are you talking about me?" The swift cherry grand sage saw that Huang Tong had stopped and hurriedly nodded. "That's right. Although I don't know what happened here, since the Rainbow Lion King has been killed and only his primordial spirit is left, why don't you let him live?" Huang Tong hesitated for a moment and smiled bitterly. "I'm afraid it's too late." "Oh!" The swift cherry grand sage was stunned and looked at the Rainbow Lion King's primordial spirit. As expected, when the demonic aura descended from Huang Tong's mouth, the primordial spirit, which originally had a terrifying expression, was now dull and expressionless. The swift cherry grand sage glanced at Huang Tong. How could she not know that Huang Tong had done this on purpose? However, thinking about it carefully, since the great sage of the human race, Xiaohua, had already killed the Rainbow Lion King, why would he spare his primordial spirit? Cutting the weeds and pulling up the roots was also applicable in the 10,000 demon realm. The swift cherry grand sage sighed slightly. Her gaze swept past Xiaohua and Huang Tong and looked at the rainbow in the distance. Perhaps she was looking for a proverb in the 10,000 demon realm that said, "Birds die in pursuit of food and men die in pursuit of wealth." At this moment, the rainbow was different from before. As the metal elemental spirit and the wood elemental spirit's bodies gradually shrank and fell into the ground, the rainbow that pierced through the heavens and the earth also retreated. In the sky, the 5 elements' elemental beasts' bodies gradually dimmed, and the ring-shaped waves that fell into the ground also began to fade. Looking at the imprisonment that was gradually disappearing within 10,000 miles, there was no longer any sound in the sky. It was not clear if the saints were afraid of Xiao Hua's spirit-slaying vital light, or if they were thinking of how to attack. In any case, the scene was very strange. The great sage of the human race, Xiao Hua. The 3-legged golden crow Qi Xian Grand Sage's body emitted a blinding golden light. Boundless heat waves seemed to scorch the surrounding void. His golden eyes were filled with anger as he opened his mouth and said, "I am the Qi Xian Grand Sage of the 10,000 Demons realm. Let me ask you, why did you attack the moment you arrived in the 10,000 Demons realm and killed 2 of our great sages? Do you know that the 10,000 Demon realm has not lost a great sage for hundreds of thousands of years?" "I, Xiao Hua, greet the Qi Xian Grand Sage." Xiao Hua retracted the spirit-slaying vital light. He raised his hand and the sword gourd landed on top of his head. He then cupped his hands and said, "I and my friends have just arrived in the 10,000 Demon realm. We do not know the rules of the 10,000 Demon realm. We have caused trouble for you." The Qi Xian Grand Sage nodded. His 3 legs swayed in the air as if he was returning the gesture. "I will not speak of the cause of the matter for the time being. However, when you great sages first appeared, you must have heard I's reminder. The metal and wood elemental magnetism is extremely important to me. I am the one who took it up to save billions of lives. I must have it. Since the great ape king did not know what I was thinking, I will remind you one last time. If you do not stop now, I will be ruthless." Xiao Hua was not afraid of the Qi Xian Grand Sage's anger. He looked around and said, "And the result? I believe all of you great sages have seen that the great ape king did not listen to my advice. Instead, he stubbornly used his doppelganger ability to kill me. Faced with such a situation, I would like to ask all of you great sages, how would you deal with it? What about the Rainbow Lion King?" The Qi Xian Grand Sage seemed to be holding back his anger. Xiao Hua reached out and touched his nose. He smiled and said, "There is a saying in the human race, cut the weeds and dig up the roots. I do not know what you would do if you were in my shoes, but in a foreign land, I have to be ruthless. Just your ruthlessness alone destroyed 2 great sages of the 10,000 Demon realm." The Qi Xian Grand Sage narrowed his eyes. Xiao Hua smiled slightly. He looked at the great sages who did not immediately attack and said, "You destroyed 2 great sages, but gained the friendship of 5 great sages of the human race, the Phoenix race, and the Thunder Spirit race. Don't you think it is a good deal, Qi Xian Grand Sage?" Chapter 48:13. Great Sage Yuan Xian. Feng Wu and the others flew around Xiao Hua to protect the metal and wood elemental magnetism. Feng Wu said, "Our goal is the metal and wood elemental magnetism. We are not interested in anything else in the 10,000 Demon realm. Moreover, we will leave as soon as we get the metal and wood elemental magnetism. We will not interfere with the daily life of the 10,000 Demon realm. As for the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King, it was just an accident. We warned them repeatedly, but even though they knew that we were 5 great sages, they still attacked us. I don't know what he's thinking, but all of you should calm down and think about it." Feng Wu didn't say much, but he immediately revealed the Great Ape King's evil intentions. There was only one metal and wood elemental magnetism. If it was divided into metal elemental spirits and wood elemental spirits, there would be 2. The Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King had already taken the lead. If Xiao Hua and the others weren't here, the 2 elemental spirits would definitely be theirs. Now that Xiao Hua and the other great sages were here, they were also determined to get it. Even if Xiao Hua didn't use the soul-slaying ray, The Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King still wouldn't be a match for the 5 great sages. Since they were at such a disadvantage, why did the Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King still want to fight? Needless to say, they must have planned to drag the other great sages into this maelstrom of chaos. They wanted to borrow the power of the 10 great sages from the 10,000 demon realm to kill Xiaohua and the other great sages from the outside world. If the soul-slaying Ray didn't show its power and Xiaohua didn't kill the Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King in front of the great sage Yuan Xian and the others, the great sage Yuan Xian and the others would have attacked. At that time, the Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King wouldn't be the only ones to die. Perhaps Xiaohua and the other great sages would also die, but the great sage Yuan Xian knew that he wouldn't be able to block this mysterious black and white sword light. If even the great sage Yuan Xian couldn't block it, then how many of the great sages here could leave alive? Xiaohua said that there were 5 great sages, but the great sage Yuan Xian knew that the first batch of great sages on the holy rankings had 6 great sages. This meant that there was another great sage from the spirit tribe hiding. What's more, who knew if the other 3 mysterious great sages were with this human great sage? In that instant, the great sage Yuan Xian felt regretful. He regretted that he had rushed over too quickly, and regretted that he had spoken too early. At this moment, the leopard whale king snorted coldly. The Great Ape King is a monkey who bullies the weak. This daddy hates him the most. I'm happier than anyone else that he's dead. Why am I here for no reason? As it spoke, some strange bubbles appeared around the leopard whale king's body, and its huge body fell into the void, disappearing in an instant. As soon as the leopard whale king left, the spirit race, ocean folk and upper race great saints, who had been hesitating because of their pride, glanced at each other. Then, they glanced at the sword gourd above Xiaohua's head with fear. Their figures flickered, and they disappeared. Great sage of the human clan. At this moment, the Holy Mother of Peacock, who had been silent and staring at Xiaohua, opened her mouth and said, I heard you say that you need the gold and wood origin spirit to save the world. Where are you going to save the world? Which realm did you come from, and which realm are you going to? Sorry. Xiaohua pondered for a moment, then shook his head and said, Forgive me for not being able to tell you this, but everything this Xiao said is true. Can I fly closer to take a look at you? The Holy Mother of Peacock said in a very amiable tone. Xiaohua looked at the Holy Mother of Peacock strangely and asked, May I know which great sage you are? Phoenix Sacred World's Peacock Race's Holy Mother of Peacock Race. The Holy Mother of Peacock replied with a smile, However, I have yet to leave my name on the saint rankings. Therefore I deserve the title of Great Sage. Oh, so it's the Holy Mother of Peacock who created the language of the spirit race in the 1,000 demon world. Xiaohua had a good impression of her. He thought for a moment and nodded, Of course. Good. The Holy Mother of Peacock spread her wings, then turned into smoke and landed in front of Xiaohua. Seeing the Holy Mother of Peacock's glassy eyes, Xiaohua did not hide anything and looked straight at the Holy Mother of Peacock's eyes. The Holy Mother of Peacock and Xiaohua looked at each other for a moment, then a smile appeared on her face. She transmitted in a low voice, I'm going to use some small skills. I hope that the great merciful Guanyin Bodhisattva will not blame me. Hiss. Xiaohua took a deep breath and looked at the Holy Mother of Peacock in disbelief. The Holy Mother of Peacock smiled and said, I am the Holy Mother of Peacock. Naturally, I have some skills. Bodhisattva, don't be afraid. Good. Xiaohua seemed to understand something and nodded. Whoosh. The Holy Mother of Peacock's closed tail suddenly exploded. A colorful halo rushed out from the tail of the peacock and covered half the sky. Xiaohua's eyes wandered around and looked at the countless halos. He saw the Buddhist kingdom, the demon realm, and the spirit world as if they were floating in the world. An indescribable clarity came from Xiaohua's forehead. The previous annoyance, anxiety, and uneasiness all disappeared in this clarity. Whoosh. The Holy Mother of Peacock closed her tail and the colorful light disappeared. Then she said to the Rapid Cherry Grand Sage, Rapid Cherry Grand Sage, this human great sage is not lying. He does have the mission of saving the world. Moreover, he is one of the few people in this world who is merciful and compassionate. The living beings in his hands are billions of times more than the living beings he killed. Ah? The rapid Cherry Grand Sage was shocked and said in disbelief, "Holy Mother of Peacock, you didn't see wrong, did you?" The profound Grand Sage frowned and said, "That's impossible. According to what you said, if he killed 10 spirits, there should be 100,000 spirits. If he killed 10,000 spirits, there should be 100 million spirits." Profound Grand Sage, you heard wrong. The Holy Mother of Peacock said calmly, "It's billions of times, not 10,000 times." How is that possible? The profound Grand Sage opened his mouth wide and could not believe his ears. "I know best what my exquisite mind is capable of." The Holy Mother of Peacock said proudly, "If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do." With that, the Holy Mother of Peacock turned to Xiaohua and said, "I see that there is still some karma between us. If you have time, come to my Peacock Palace for a chat." "Sorry." Xiaohua shook his head. "I don't have time. I will leave the 10,000 demon realm after I collect the metal and wood elemental magnetism." "Fine." The Holy Mother of Peacock thought for a moment and flapped her tail. A 5-colored feather fell into the air. Then she opened her mouth and a drop of blood essence fell into the feather. When the feather landed in front of Xiaohua, she smiled and said, "It's fate that we met. Please give this to the fated person." Xiaohua narrowed his eyes. It was his first time meeting the Holy Mother of Peacock, but he had heard of her name and image. Didn't the fairy Xianxia of the Xiaoyu continent have the bloodline of the Holy Mother of Peacock? The Holy Mother of Peacock obviously wanted him to give the feather and blood essence to fairy Xianxia. But Xiaohua did not understand. How did the Holy Mother of Peacock see this karma? "Xiaohua, the great sage of the human race, we will meet again if fate allows." The Holy Mother of Peacock did not say much. She flapped her wings and disappeared into the void, leaving only her feathers swaying in the air. The Holy Mother of Peacock was not as powerful as the profound Grand Sage or the swift Cherry Grand Sage, but she was the most famous demon king in the 10,000 demon realm. She could even be said to be the #1 demon king in the 10,000 demon realm. Her fame did not lie in her abhijna, but in her fairness, benevolence, and clarity of heart. Especially the Ling clan language that was commonly used in the 10,000 demon realm, which gave her more prestige than some great sages. Unfortunately, the Holy Mother of Peacock never cared about gains or losses or status. Her abhijna in the Phoenix sacred realm might not be much worse than the 2 great sages, the colorful Phoenix King and the Fire Phoenix King, but she never fought for the limelight with the 2 great sages of the Phoenix clan. She was very clear about her position. At the same time, it was because of this that many great sages respected her. In today's situation, how could an ordinary demon king appear? And the Holy Mother of Peacock's arrival did not make any great sages feel that it was inappropriate. Sacred Mother Peacock's innate ability was the exquisite mind's eye. Because of this ability, she was able to see through people. Because of this, she was fair and impartial. Whenever Sacred Mother Peacock made a decision, there was an 80 to 90% chance of it being correct. Of course, the Holy Mother of Peacock usually kept a low profile. She basically would not say anything like today. Since the Holy Mother of Peacock dared to speak of Xiaohua's merits in front of the Xen Xian Grand Sage and the Swift Cherry Grand Sage, she expressed her attitude and even gave Xiaohua the peacock plume. This meant that she completely trusted this great sage of the human race. She would not hate Xiaohua for killing the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King. Of course, the Holy Mother of Peacock was also very straightforward. After saying what she said, she left immediately. Whether or not the other great sages would listen to her, she would not interfere too much. After the Holy Mother of Peacock left, the Great Eagle King and the Striped Tiger King also turned and left. The Xen Xian Grand Sage looked for a moment and said, "Great sage of the human race, I do not believe you, but I believe the Holy Mother of Peacock. Since she said that your words are trustworthy, then I will believe you today." "Thank you, Xen Xian Grand Sage." Xiaohua smiled and clasped his hands. "However, I will always keep an eye on this place. I hope that you will keep your word and leave the 10,000 demon realm immediately after taking the metal and wood elemental magnetism. Xiaohua smiled and said, Of course, I will keep my word. However, I do not wish for anyone to spy on us. I hope that the Xen Shen Grand Sage will forgive me. That is my business. It has nothing to do with you. The Xen Shen Grand Sage snorted coldly. Golden light shone from his body and he disappeared in an instant. After the Xen Shen Grand Sage left, the other great sages did not have the chance to stay. In just half a meal's time, only the Rapid Cherry Grand Sage and the colorful Phoenix King were left in the sky. The Rapid Cherry Grand Sage looked at the colorful Phoenix King and asked curiously, Colorful Phoenix King, why are you not leaving? The colorful Phoenix King smiled and said, I have some other things to discuss with the two great sages of the Phoenix race. I see. The Rapid Cherry Grand Sage was enlightened. However, she smiled and said, Wait a moment. I will ask about the cause of this matter first. Looking at the Rapid Cherry Grand Sage who looked like a jade rabbit, Xiaohua could not help but think of the moon beast in the ruins. Chapter 48:14. Great Saint of the Human Race. Swift Cherry Grand Sage asked, Can you tell me what happened? After all, two great saints have fallen in the demon realm. Xiaohua kept the peacock plume and Divine Mother Peacock's blood essence, then told him about what happened in the Gale Abyss. In the end, he said, In order to please the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King, an ape and a lion disregarded the lives of thousands of pythons in the Gale Abyss. I knew they were arrogant people, so I ordered my disciples to kill them without hesitation. As for the cause of their deaths, you have seen it with your own eyes, so I won't go into detail. I dare not say that only those who are worthy can have the treasure, but I think I need it more than the Great Ape King. Yes, I already know everything. Swift Cherry Grand Sage nodded. After a moment of hesitation, he said, Although Divine Mother Peacock said you are one of the few merciful spirits in the world, your weapon is too fierce and harmful to the harmony of the world. Don't use it in the future. If you can. I understand, Xiaohua said with a smile. I have always been a virtuous person, and I don't like to use violence. Good, then I hope you get what you want. Everything will go smoothly. Swift Cherry Grand Sage's two big ears flickered, which was rare for him. Then, with a flash of moonlight, he disappeared. Seeing that there were no other great saints around, Xiaohua glanced at Feng Wu and Huang Tong, then said to Colorful Phoenix King, Colorful Phoenix King, I am very grateful that you sent Phoenix Emissary to the wasteland to find us. Although I don't know your purpose, it was because of your emissary that we could find the right direction. So, I want to thank you first. As he said that, Xiaohua cupped his fist and bowed to Colorful Phoenix King. Not bad, not bad. Reverend Thunderbolt shouted, If it weren't for that little phoenix, I don't know where we would be. Thank you, thank you. Seeing that all the great saints were bowing to her, Colorful Phoenix King hurriedly returned the gesture and said, I sent Phoenix Emissary to the wasteland because I have something important to ask. Feng Wu smiled and said, Go ahead, Colorful Phoenix King. Well. King Colorful Phoenix gave Feng Wu and Huang Tong a look, then turned to Reverend Yun and said through voice transmission, I wonder which great saint was the one who attracted the power of the stars and moon when he was listed on the saint ranking that day. Feng Wu frowned. He didn't expect that the Colorful Phoenix King of the spirit realm would be able to detect his activation of the power of the stars in the distant Bobo wasteland. Therefore, he also transmitted his voice, It's me. All right. The Colored Phoenix King stared at Feng Wu for a moment before asking abruptly, Then I would like to ask Phoenix Sage, have you seen a human elder with the surname Wen? What? Seeing how mysterious the Colorful Phoenix King was and how she had even sent over 1,000 Phoenix envoys to find her just to ask such a question, Feng Wu naturally blurted out. When the Colored Phoenix King saw Feng Wu's expression, she immediately understood. She said rather disappointedly, If Phoenix Sage doesn't know, then forget it. However, I hope that Phoenix Sage will keep this a secret for me. Don't tell the other great sages about this. Feng Wu smiled and said, Don't worry, colorful Phoenix King. I'll definitely not mention this to them in the future. Alright, if that's the case, I won't disturb you anymore. The colored Phoenix King smiled and said to Feng Wu and Xiaohua, if you come to the 10,000 demon realm again in the future, you can come to my Phoenix shrine for a chat. Sure. Xiaohua smiled and nodded. In fact, before the colored Phoenix King asked Feng Wu to keep it a secret, Feng Wu had already told Xiaohua with his mind. Naturally, Xiaohua didn't know about the old man with the surname Wen. Seeing that the colored Phoenix King was about to leave, Xiaohua suddenly remembered something and asked, by the way, colored Phoenix King, I have something to ask. Oh, please speak. The colored Phoenix King stopped and said curiously. Xiaohua asked, I would like to ask if there's a great sage who has been missing for a long time in the 10,000 demon realm? A great sage who has been missing for a long time? The colored Phoenix King was stunned and became even more puzzled. She asked, you great sages have just come from the outer realm. How do you know that there's a great sage who has been missing for a long time in the 10,000 demon realm? Could it be that you great sages have met him in the outer realm? There's no need for the colored Phoenix King to ask. Xiaohua knew that the colored Phoenix King would ask this question and immediately replied, this is a secret of mine. If the colored Phoenix King doesn't want to answer, it's fine. The colored Phoenix King shook her head and said, it's not that I don't want to answer, but I don't know how to answer. Because there's no great sage who has been missing for a long time in the 10,000 demon realm. It can't be. Xiaohua turned pale with fright. That's impossible, right? Nothing is impossible. The colored Phoenix King laughed. However, she seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly said, oh, right. Speaking of this, I almost forgot. There's a great sage of the Spirit Clan in the Hua Tian realm. He seemed to have been missing for a period of time. However, just as the Spirit Clan kings were discussing, he appeared again. It turns out that he didn't go missing but went into seclusion to cultivate. It really is Ming Hua's doppelganger. Xiaohua understood as soon as he heard it. He secretly nodded and thought, the seven-colored sea god shell is right. It's because Ming Hua has a doppelganger that the Hua Tian realm is not in chaos. I'm afraid that only by combining Ming Hua's original body with his doppelganger can Ming Hua's original body be awakened? Great sage, are you looking for this heavenly King Hua? The colored Phoenix King laughed and said, however, it's a bit troublesome for the great sage to look for heavenly King Hua now. There's a war going on in the Hua Tian realm. He shouldn't be in the mood to pay attention to the great sage. I'm just asking. I have no intention of looking for this heavenly King Hua. Xiaohua hurriedly waved his hand. All right then, I'll take my leave. The colored Phoenix King nodded. She urged her body to rush into the sky and disappeared. After the colored Phoenix King left, Xiaohua looked around and saw that the rainbow in the sky had completely disappeared. The chaotic 5 elements had also recovered. Xiaohua released his divine thought to explore for a moment. He smiled bitterly and said, fellow Daoists, the laws of heaven and earth in the 10,000 demon realm are different from those in the 3 continents. It's also different from the ruins. The metal and wood elemental magnetism have already turned into spirits. Although the metal elemental spirit and wood elemental spirit have already seeped into my blood essence, it's still not a day's work to refine them. Isn't that simple? The Thunderbolt Immortal laughed and said, of course, when fellow Daoist Xiao was in the ruins, didn't you use the method of refining the 5 elements wishful heaven staff to store the magnetism into your space? Now, you only need to use the same trick again. It's not the same. Xiaohua shook his head and said, at that time, the land of the ruins had already been torn apart by the 2 magnetism. I had no other choice but to use that method. If I use it again now, it will definitely tear the land apart this time. Over 3,650 acres of land will completely collapse. Although it won't affect the entire 10,000 demon realm, Little White Dragon's Gale Abyss. I'm afraid it will no longer exist. Do you think I can destroy the home in Little White Dragon's heart? Forget it. Feng Wu shook his head and said, now, as long as we collect the gold and wood magnetism, we can directly return to the Dawn Rain continent through the spatial tunnel. If we're lucky, we can directly see the 3 peaks of heaven, earth, and man. Calculating the time, we can afford to wait. Xiaohua thought for a while and said, I was thinking of asking a fellow Daoist to go to the Huatian realm and have a look at the situation of the spatial tunnel. But now that there's a war in the Huatian realm, I'm sure it's heavily guarded. Although the Huatian realm is now Minghua's clone, it won't be good if we attract his attention and cause him to misunderstand. So, why don't we just stay here and wait until we collect the gold and wood magnetism, then go to the Huatian realm? Alright, let's stay here. Reverend Yun also agreed, we'll stay here to protect fellow Daoist. Fellow Daoist, you should enter the magnetism space first and think of a way to refine the magnetism. The earlier we can, the better. Xiaohua nodded. At this time, the black bear spirit brought little white dragon and Shuiyu over. When Shuiyu saw Xiaohua and the others, she immediately bowed and said, Junior thanks all the great saints for saving my Gale Abyss. You're welcome. Xiaohua quickly helped Shuiyu up and said, Actually, killing Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King may not be a good thing for your Gale Abyss. The Ape and Lion clans will inevitably vent their anger on your Python clan. Shuiyu smiled bitterly and said, Great Saint, you're overthinking it. In fact, this ending has been decided since 100 years ago. Now that Great Saint has killed Great Ape King and Rainbow Lion King, I'm sure it will have a deterrent effect. The Ape and Lion clans may not dare to come. And within 1,000 years, the Ape and Lion clans will definitely be in chaos. They won't have the time to care about the Gale Abyss. What about 1,000 years later? Xiaohua's heart moved and he asked thoughtfully. Shuiyu's white jade-like face blushed and replied. Chu Han said that if he was given 1,000 years, he would definitely be able to make the Gale Abyss stand tall in the 10,000 demon realm. 1,000 years is too short. Xiaohua glared at Little White Dragon. Obviously, he knew that he was bragging in front of Shuiyu and said, 10,000 years is more like it. Big brother. Little White Dragon shrugged and said, Although Little Brother doesn't have your peerless aptitude, Little Brother is much stronger than other demon clans. 1,000 years is about right? Up to you. Xiaohua didn't want to expose Little White Dragon's background, so he waved his hand and said, Now that the Gale Abyss has just passed, it's better to rest and recuperate. You guys can do these things on your own. Little White, Big Brother still needs to refine the metal and wood elemental magnetism here. You should help Shuiyu as well. Okay, Big Brother, don't worry. Little White Dragon nodded and flew away with Shuiyu. After Little White Dragon and Shuiyu left, Xiaohua looked at Black Bear Spirit and said with a smile, Black Bear, you did well. Black Bear Spirit didn't dare to claim any credit and said honestly, It's all because of Master's good teaching. If it wasn't for Master's teaching, how would I know to take responsibility for everything so that the Great Ape King and the Rainbow Lion King wouldn't vent their anger on the Gale Abyss? You flatter me so much that I don't even know how to praise you. Xiaohua smiled and took out the Kunlun mirror and said, You should go back and cultivate. Yes, Master. Black Bear Spirit was overjoyed. His figure followed the Pillar of Light and landed on Shenhua continent. Chapter 48:15. After keeping the Black Bear Spirit, Xiaohua released his divine thought again. He did not discover any other great saints from the 10,000 demon realm. He then looked in the direction of the Gale Abyss. Little White Dragon and Shuiyu were flying around sweetly. The Python tribe and the Snake tribe had already begun to clean up the quagmire. They must have received Little White Dragon's orders. Xiaohua smiled and retracted his divine thought. He looked at the Thunderbolt Immortal and the others who were guarding the sky. He cupped his hands and landed on the ground that Xiaohua originally planned to last for a few years in the metal and wood magnetic space with the White Tiger and Azure Dragon, who had already become spirits. However, the progress of the refinement was far beyond his expectations. It was because the White Tiger and Azure Dragon had already become spirits that they could easily absorb and integrate Xiaohua's essence and blood. They also had the instinct to avoid harm. What was special was that after Xiaohua inadvertently revealed the aura of the other magnetic forces in the Shenhua continent, the White Tiger and Azure Dragon actually took the initiative to cooperate with Xiaohua's refinement, wanting to enter Xiaohua's space as soon as possible. In the end, after 81 days, Xiaohua actually absorbed the metal and wood magnetic force into his space. The Thunderbolt Immortal and the other clones naturally knew that Xiaohua's progress was smooth. They were not particularly surprised when they saw the ground shaking. However, Little White Dragon, who was dealing with the Python tribe's affairs with Xueyu in the Gale Abyss, became nervous and hurriedly flew out of the quagmire. As soon as Little White Dragon moved, Xueyu panicked. After all, Xueyu had been helping Little White Dragon clean up the mess in the Gale Abyss for the past few weeks. She could already tell that the Python tribe, which had suffered heavy losses, would not survive for more than 10 years without Little White Dragon's support. The nearby Hound tribe, Wolf tribe, and other tribes would soon devour the Gale Abyss and drive the Python tribe out of the Gale Abyss. Xuehan. Xueyu flew out of the quagmire and looked at Little White Dragon who was about to rush into the air. She said anxiously, "You should go and come back early. The Gale Abyss cannot leave you." "I cannot leave you either." "Yes, I know." Little White Dragon looked at Hengyu's anxious expression and her shyness. A smile appeared on his face as he said, "You can go back first. I'll be right back with Big Brother." "All right." Huayu wanted to persuade the Little White Dragon to stay, but she knew that compared to the matters of the great sages of the human tribe and the great sages of the Phoenix tribe, the matters of the Gale Abyss were insignificant. She did not dare to delay the Little White Dragon and the other great sages because of the Gale Abyss. Xueyu stood in the air for a long time as she watched the Little White Dragon fly away. It was as if she was looking forward to the end of the world. Without waiting for the Little White Dragon to arrive, the trembling and rumbling of the earth had already stopped. The halo and the 5 elemental spiritual qi in the sky had also disappeared. Xiaohua flew out of the magnetic space with a smile on his face. "Congratulations, fellow Daoist." The Thunderbolt Immortal and the others were overjoyed as they stood up and said, "Congratulations to you, congratulations to you." Xiaohua cupped his hands and said, "The matter in the 10,000 demon realm has been settled. Let's hurry back to the Dawn Rain continent." "All right." Feng Wu and the others retracted their figures. Xiaohua took out the Kunlun mirror. As the light vibrated, except for Huang Tong, everyone else was sucked into the space. "Big Brother." Little White Dragon saw that only Xiaohua and Huang Tong were left standing in midair and hurriedly shouted, "How can it be so smooth?" "What? Do you still want Big Brother to stay in the 10,000 demon realm for a few more years?" Xiaohua asked with a smile. He seemed to be in an extremely good mood. Little White Dragon was a little flustered and hurriedly waved his hand. "No, no. I just feel that things are going too smoothly. It's not as difficult as Big Brother said." Xiaohua smiled and said, "The 10,000 demon realms' laws of heaven and earth are different from the 3 continents. Big Brother's guess is wrong. Let's go. You take Big Brother to the space channel and then go to the Dawn Rain continent with Big Brother. Other things aside, the 3 nascent soul stage cultivators who tried to kill you that day, I will definitely let them know the consequences of killing me, Shang Huaming." Xiaohua originally thought that Little White Dragon would excitedly fly up and excitedly take him to the space channel like in the 3 continents. But who knew that Little White Dragon was actually a little hesitant? He opened his mouth but did not say anything. Then he said, "Let's go, Little Brother will take Big Brother there." Little White. Xiaohua was a little puzzled and asked curiously, "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing, nothing." Little White Dragon's body swam and he forced a smile. "Little Brother will." "Nonsense." Huang Tong scolded. "You clearly have something in your heart and you still dare to say that it's nothing? Are so secretive. Do you still treat Xiaohua as your big brother?" Huang Tong's thoughts were naturally Xiaohua's thoughts. Xiaohua smiled and said, "Little White, although you are not my biological brother, don't forget that you have cultivated together with Taoist priest Wu in my soul. I gave my soul to you and you gave your life to me. What else in this world can't be entrusted to you? Didn't you say it yourself? Your soul is similar to mine. If you turn into me, even the Mahavairakana Buddha wouldn't be able to tell the difference? In that case, what are you hiding from Big Brother? Could it be you don't want to take Big Brother to the Space Channel? Could it be that you don't want to go to the Dawn Rain continent to take revenge? Big Brother. Little White Dragon's face was red and he hurriedly replied, "Don't misunderstand. Although I don't dare to say that everything that Little Brother has now is given by Big Brother, but what Big Brother has given Little Brother. Little Brother can't use it all in this lifetime. It's not that Little Brother doesn't want to take Big Brother to the Space Channel, but Little Brother suddenly doesn't want to go to the Dawn Rain continent." But Xiaohua smiled and said, "Don't forget that it was the 3 nascent soul cultivators of the Dawn Rain continent who suddenly attacked you when you were transforming into a dragon. They almost caused your soul to be destroyed. Don't you want to take revenge?" Little White Dragon didn't hesitate and said, "Speaking of revenge, of course, when Little Brother transformed into a soul, the desire for revenge was the strongest. If it wasn't for this obsession, Little Brother reckoned that Little Brother would have turned into green smoke that day and never see Big Brother again. That day when I was cultivating in Big Brother's mysterious dark clouds, Little Brother was also thinking about condensing my body every moment and thinking about revenge. However, after condensing my body on Dragon Island, Little Brother knew that it wasn't good to return to the Dawn Rain continent. That thought of revenge also faded. After being suppressed, Little Brother cultivated in the midst of tempering and replaced the old hatred with new hatred. After Big Brother rescued Little Brother and destroyed the 3 demon realm cultivators, Little Brother saw Biqing again and saw her embarrassment of losing her demon realm. Little Brother's hatred for Biqing was forgotten. Then, Little Brother saw Old Ancestor thinking about the Shell clan every moment and thinking about the hatred in her heart. Those days weren't as carefree as Big Brother at all. Little Brother reflected on his hatred and also felt that this hatred must be avenged, but there was no need to make hatred the most important thing in life. Then what is the most important thing? Xiaohua didn't express his opinion and interrupted to ask. Life, family, love, harmony, and so on. Little White Dragon said a few words in one breath. That's right, there's also home. Little Brother suddenly felt that the most ordinary things were the most important things. In fact, cultivation might not even be the most important thing anymore. Oh, of course, if you don't cultivate, you won't be able to do it without tyrannical strength. So, you chose to stay in the Gale Abyss? Xiaohua was very emotional in his heart, but he still asked. Little White Dragon was a little ashamed and nodded. Yes, Big Brother, Little Brother has let you down. Little Brother doesn't want to go to the Dawn Rain continent to take revenge, and also doesn't want to return to the West Sea. I'll be the Dragon King of the West Sea again. Little Brother wants to stay in the Gale Abyss, and Little Brother also believes that in the 10,000 demon realm, Little Brother can also be a Dragon King with his own strength, and can also be a great sage of a realm. Xiaohua nodded and raised his hand to place on Little White Dragon's head. He patted it lightly and smiled. Little White, you didn't disappoint Big Brother's expectations. On the contrary, Big Brother is very happy with your choice. Your choice has the weight of family, the burden of love, and even the heavy responsibility of reviving the Dragon Clan in the 10,000 demon realm. Your choice is more difficult than going to the Dawn Rain continent. This road is more dangerous. Moreover, you've let go of your hatred, and it made your heart more than one level higher. The Dragon Clan naturally wouldn't let anyone touch their head, but Xiaohua's hand made Little White Dragon feel safe. He didn't mind that Xiaohua touched the Dragon Clan's reverse scale, but pretended to be surprised and said, "Don't, Big Brother. Little Brother didn't say that I've let go of my hatred. I just feel that the 3 enemies of the Dawn Rain continent are only nascent soul cultivators. How is it worth Big Brother and Little Brother to take action together? When the time comes, Big Brother can just lift a finger and take revenge for Little Brother. It's not worth it for Little Brother to go to the Dawn Rain continent again." If you don't want to do it, then let Big Brother do it. Big Brother is also a great Ascension Stage human. He won't do it easily. Xiaohua smiled. Then let Black Bear Spirit do it. Little White Dragon said without hesitation. Let Black Bear Spirit talk with the 3 nascent soul cultivators about ideals, love, and the scenery of the netherworld. Sweat. Huang Tong's face was full of black lines. She said, "Little white dragon, have you been sleeping with that little white python too much these days?" Huang Sheng. Little white dragon said anxiously, "You dare to peep at little brother? The movements in the deep pool are so big, is there a need to peep?" Huang Tong said with disdain. "Ha." Xiaohua smiled and took back his hand from little white dragon's head. He said, "In that case, Big Brother will listen to you. You don't have to take Big Brother to the spatial passage. We know the left and right positions too." "No, Big Brother," Little White Dragon said firmly. Although Little Brother won't go to the Dawn Rain continent, Little Brother still wants to take Big Brother to the spatial passage. This is the last thing Little Brother will do for Big Brother. As he spoke, Little White Dragon suddenly cried out, "Big Brother!" Following the call, Little White Dragon's body shrunk, still in the shape of a python, flew over and wrapped around Xiaohua's body. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.